All right, welcome. All right, I'm live. Welcome, everybody. Let me see if I'm actually live here. I believe I am. If you pop in, say something in the chat. Close this. There we go. Say hello to everybody there in the chat. Let me see. It says I'm live over here. Let me see if I can share it out. It says I'm live over here. Let me see if I can share it out. Let me mute that. Otherwise, I'll end up reverbing, and we don't need to do that, right? Yep. So I'm live. Good. Welcome, everybody. Hi. I see people popping into the chat over there. Say hello. I'm here to answer questions. My name is Kelto. My name is Leonard O'Neill, but I'm channeling Kelto. Kelto is here. Let me move in a little bit. Kelto is from a higher dimensional reality, and I'm here to answer your guys' spiritual questions. So if you have any questions, type them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just kind of break down the way things are working in the universe. So if you're brand new to this, if you're not spiritual in any way, it may seem a little crazy to you when I start talking about that, right? So, welcome. Was that Briella? Briella, welcome. And then what is that? Is that Ralella? That's weird. Briella and Ralella. That's that. You guys both come in at the same time. Welcome. Give me a shout out. Hit those, hit those hearts there. Stick around if you have any questions about spirituality. If you don't, then thank you. Right. So pop it in over there and hit those hearts for me. Smash those hearts. We can get those hearts up because they always have things we have to jump through, hoops we have to jump through on TikTok to make anything happen, right? Got to have a bunch of hearts, got to have a bunch of likes, things like that. So smash those likes there, and then I hope you guys can hear me okay. It looks like my microphone's working all right. Microphone's a little bit away from me. I don't have it on my lapel right here. Maybe I can move in a little bit more here so I'm closer to the microphone. Okay, so if you guys have any questions about spirituality, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just start talking, like I said, so you guys can figure out what's going on here. A lot of people don't know that, and people are asking questions all the time. Most of us do. It's kind of what we do, right? We come into third dimensional life, and I think, therefore I am, like the Greeks said, I think, therefore I am. And you realize that you are something, so you start pondering life, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. What am I doing? What is this all about? I'm just living in this society, and you're brought up from a child to do what your parents tell you to do, right? You got to go to school, you got to get trade, learn things, get your education. Your education these days is usually probably teaching you how to become a good little worker bee. And that's it, not teaching you anything else. You have to figure that out and do something with yourself because otherwise they won't figure it out for you and they'll just put you into the workforce like a little worker bee and then you'll just serve them. So you're actually supposed to figure out different things. So that's Briella Harlow Wyatt. Okay, welcome. Like I said, give me a shout out in there, say hello, type something into the chat so that I know you're here. Smash those hearts and then, give me some hearts so that way I can get those quotas so I can unlock other features and go live. Okay, so the way things work in the universe, well, I should probably let's start with some craziness, right? Craziness is this place is not happening to you, it's happening for you. That's the crazy part. You volunteered for this, whether you're aware of that or not. You volunteered for this, right? Is that Bo? There's Bo. What's up, brother? Hit those hearts for me. Hit those hearts and share this out for me. Tina, hi. Hit those hearts, like I said, smash those hearts for me and share it out for me. Thank you, Bo. Share this out to everybody. So ask questions too, Bo. Ask me some questions. You know what questions to ask so we can have a conversation because I've known you forever. So the things that we don't know about is that this place is not happening to you, it's happening for you. Right? You volunteered for this. You don't think you did because your memory is erased. So you don't think that you that you know why you're here. So you don't think that you volunteered. You think that this is happening to you. And then, if you listen to things like these Ancient Aliens television programs, they'll tell you that you're a slave because some group of people called the Anunnaki, which is not even a real word, that they just made up. That it was a wrongful translation, but they say these Anunnaki came down here and created the human species to mine gold for them, but it wasn't regular gold, or maybe it was regular gold. They're claiming that they did that, right? So they're claiming that there was some crazy alien that came down here, right? Do you guys kiss? That's funny, right? Leslie, you're hilarious. Do you guys kiss? That's funny. Do you mean Bo and I? No, we just know each other. I've known Bo for a few years online. I've never met him, but I know Bo online. I've talked to him different times on different platforms, right? Yeah, I know. Oh my God, she's like, do you guys kiss? That's funny. So so what happens is that you're here and you think that because you don't remember anything when you're born, you think that you're just a person, right? Unless this is wild. So you think you're a person that just living here and that this is happening to you. And there's this Anunnaki people, if they even listen to the Ancient Aliens, those shows that they have on TV and all over the internet, they claim that you're a slave to this Anunnaki race who came down here because they screwed up their atmosphere. This is the story. They screwed up their atmosphere in the sun's rays on their planet, which they claim is like in this solar system way out on this really long orbit that comes back every 3,000 years. But yet nobody has seen it. And they messed up their ozone layer, so the sun's rays doing damage to them. Weird because they'd be way out there, and then they would come way back, so their planet would be really cold, and then it would get really really hot when they got close back to Earth's atmosphere. Weird, right? But never mind that now. Never mind the physics of that. And then they came here because they needed to get some gold because they wanted to put it up and disperse it in their atmosphere to block the sun's rays so that it didn't kill their people. So they came down here and they didn't have anybody to mine the stuff and they were lazy and didn't want to do it themselves. So they went to the monkeys, the primates, and they took some of their DNA and they inserted it into the monkey and they created us. That's what they claim. Okay. And then, but they made us stupid so that we would mine gold for them. But then they left us after they got some gold. They took off in their ships and they didn't keep anybody here to guard the prisoners. And we grew up and started making society and have our own weapons now. So now everybody's claiming that the Anunnaki's overdue and they're going to come back. And when they come back, they're going to be like tripping because our technology now is very, very similar to the whereas theirs was in the last 3,000 years. And then if you go by that rule that they were real, then that would suggest that they were here 3,000 years earlier than that. And yet their technology never advanced and they still had an ozone problem and had to every 3,000 years get new gold to put it up in the atmosphere supposedly. And we're supposed to buy that story and that they're going to come back and they're going to want some more gold, right? The one thing that's super rare in the universe, but we seem to have all of it. But nobody else is coming here, weirdly, to take the gold. So maybe they must have discovered the way to keep everybody else away from us, but they don't have anybody guarding us. Well, you can't go anywhere. You're stuck on the earth. Well, wouldn't you think that you should guard people if you have them in prison so that they don't end up doing? See, I'm living in Australia right now, and the Australian people over here, the people that are living here, there's a lot of them that are descendants from the people that were imprisoned here. So there was a bunch of people that were prisoners here, and guess what they did when their masters weren't looking? They made their own society, and one day said, "Stay out." Okay, so humans have a habit of doing that if you don't guard them long enough. So these people were not smart enough, apparently, because that's what the alien people claim is that there's this alien race and that you're a slave to these people, but they're never around. They've never been around. Nobody can remember being here except for somebody made the word Anunnaki back 10,000 years ago. And so because of that, we just know that they're coming back and that's what they're teaching you. It's bullshit. That's not why you're here. You're here because you volunteered to be here. You're here because this is a place where you're supposed to be going to school and learning what's going on in the universe. So you're supposed to be growing up from here, being a little soul, little baby soul. I think, therefore, I am. And then you're supposed to then realize that you are something greater than that. right? You're supposed to realize that you are something greater than that. You're supposed to figure out how to get out of here, not in a physical way, waiting for a spaceship like they were talking about. And there's going to be these guys coming back in a spaceship saying, I'm your creator God and worship me and give me gold. And that's just crap. That's not going to happen. And if it does, they're going to come back. And since we all know about them, here's the thing: since we all know about them, we should be building technology, just getting ready in case these guys come down here, so that we can just blow them out of the sky and take their technology, find out where they live, and fly back to their place and take theirs over. Because that's what we humans would do. Because that's what humans do, right? So, yeah, thank you, brother. You're sharing me out to everybody, right? Shared the live with more than 5 friends. Thank you, my friend. I shared it out on one of my platforms on Facebook. I should go over there and share it on my other platform on Facebook. See if we can get some people to come over here, right? So, right, let's see what we can do. Yeah, just try and see who we can get to share the things out. Let me go over here on this and see if I did in fact share it. It looks like I might have. Let me see. I don't know if it comes up right. It just says, oh no, it does say right there. Okay, so let me switch and I'll share it to myself. So, like I said, you guys, what am I doing here? I got to be able to share. It's change over here. So, right, right. So, yeah, trying to get Peter. Peter might be sleeping, but try and get him in here anyway, right? And we'll see. Yeah, Omar the King. Omar the King, welcome, right? Welcome, brother. What are you doing, Omar the King? Welcome, welcome in. I'm trying to share this live out on Facebook over here. So, Omar the King, tell me a little bit about yourself, brother. What are you doing? You just surfing around? That's what I was doing. What is this here? This is where I want to share it. But I'm actually um, I'm actually talking about what's going on in the universe, right? So I love that you have a crown as your picture. Omar the King. That doesn't have ideas, right? The chosen spiritual power one. Is that what you're saying? You're the chosen spiritual powerful one, right? Okay, so you're the chosen one. Oh, that's cool. How did you know you were the chosen one? Did somebody tell you you were the chosen one? We all are, yeah, right, Bo. Every single one of us is a chosen one. It's like the Hebrews claiming they're the chosen race, right? But everything in their religion promised by God was telling them that they were supposed to be sharing that with everyone else in the world, right? So they were supposed to be that was the whole part of that was that God told Elijah, at least Daniel as well, and a few others, that he promised them that he would be expanding their religion to the world, and they were supposed to be telling the world about it. So when Jesus showed up, he said he was going to do that very thing, and they killed him. Then when Muhammad showed up, he said he was going to do that very thing, and they went after him and tried to kill him. But he ascended before they could kill him. So those people claim they're the chosen one. Then you have the Christians now who think that they might be the chosen one, and now the everybody else is starting to do that in every religion. So you have everybody saying that now. Individuals, because I've known, Omar, I've known at least 10 other human beings who claim that someone told them they were the chosen one. But like Bo said, like Indigo said there, we're all the chosen one, right? So I am since birth. Oh, okay. So somebody told you, do you remember the first time you heard that you were the chosen one? I would love to see you perform some miracles. I'll perform some miracles for you too, if you perform some miracles for me. I love that. I love that yeah. A friend of mine who is dead now, he claimed to be the chosen one as well. He told him that he told me that some psychics told him that he was the chosen one. So he believed he was the chosen one. Scuff, good name, brother. I like that. Hello, Scuff. I have asked Indigo last night. So you asked Indigo last night if you were the chosen one, and he said that you were the chosen one. Oh, you don't claim you're the chosen one. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, brother. I didn't see that. I apologize. I don't claim I am. Oh, okay. So that's good. But okay. So we're all the chosen one. So you asked Bo last night. Okay, Scuff. We know a lot about Jesus and all that stuff as well. Good. Yeah, right. So welcome, Scuff. So yeah, so Omar, you said I didn't say that. Okay, but you are the king. I like that, right? Oh, you asked Indigo what I did for him last night. Oh, I understand. I see what you're saying, right? So, okay, cool. So, yeah, I don't know what you did for Indigo last night, right? What do you know about Jesus, host? What do I know about Jesus? What do you want to know? I'm actually a minister in 4 different religions. I have a minister title. I was knighted by the Holy Roman Catholic Church. So I do know a lot about Jesus. What would you like to know about Jesus? Jesus, the name Jesus, everybody says that the name Jesus isn't really Jesus's name. It's a lie. And those people don't understand what they're saying. Let's start with that. Everyone says his name's not Jesus. It's Yahweh. It's Yahshua. That's actually means Jesus in a different language. They actually all those Yahweh means Joseph, by the way, in Sanskrit. So he's named after his father, Joseph. Jesus is named after Joseph. Joseph was not his real father. He was his mom's husband. But there's a lot of other stuff. So let's see. What time did he live, and what time and what did he do? What evidence do we have for that? We actually have empirical evidence. A lot of people have asked that question, saying that Jesus wasn't even a real person. We now actually have Roman and Hebrew people who were his enemies, like Caiaphas, for one, who was the one who got him killed. Caiaphas wrote about it himself. Caiaphas wasn't trying to prove Jesus; he was trying to disprove Jesus and had Jesus killed. We have the many different people in Roman times who wrote about it, that they had no idea who Jesus was, and they wrote about what was happening because they had witnessed some of the stuff. So we actually have empirical evidence that this person actually existed. A lot of people don't want to say that. I didn't answer your question. Who is Jesus and what did he do and what evidence do you have for it? Oh, you typed that while I was talking. You must have, because I was actually just telling you that. So if I'm missing something, let me know. If there's something about that question that you don't think that I know what I'm talking about in there, that what I've said, please just feel free to talk about that, and I will ask the questions and I will go on. So, so I'm assuming that you don't think Jesus ever existed. You probably subscribe to that story that the Hebrews tell, the same people who are trying to discredit Jesus, by the way, that Jesus never existed and that the Romans invented him. The Romans did invent him the way that we have him today. You had Constantine back in the First and Second Council of Nicaea in the year 934, roughly, to 936. They had 2 councils where he who was in charge of charge in Rome, decided to put together a council of Nicaea. Was it in 300, not 800? I didn't know exactly the date. Don't hold me to that. I thought it was a little bit later than that. Got together with the First and Second Council of Nicaea, and that's when they started pulling books out of the Bible and putting books into the Bible so that they could create Jesus being God and create that Trinity that they created and turn the church into the way that it is now. So that, and then King James did even more damage to the Bible when King James rewrote the Bible in the 1500s. So Scuff, you're saying that I'm a liar. I got the date wrong. That's not lying, bro. Lying says deceit. Lying says that somebody was malice and chose to deceive somebody. I wasn't deceiving anybody. So, and I'm not lying. You can look this up in history, bro. So you come in, do you go into people's groups and troll them like this? Is that what you do? Is that what you're here to do? Is to troll me and call me a liar when when I wasn't sure of the exact timeline for something? That doesn't mean I'm lying, bro. If I knew that it was like, say, 390 and I said it was 900 on purpose because I had something in my mind of I want to deceive people, that's a lie, bro. That's exactly a lie. You're absolutely right. I didn't do that. I was taking a guess at the time period because I wasn't exactly sure of the exact time period. But we could look that up, right? You could look that up and see if that's it. I don't have my dictionary of the Bible with me, the Smith's Dictionary of the Bible, or I would actually open it up and look at it, right? So, God bless all the sick souls. I'm done wasting my time. Goodbye forever, Indigo. Okay, Scuff, have a nice life. Have a nice day. Have a nice life, brother. Um, I apologize that you think I was lying about the date, and you decided that you were annoyed because I got the date wrong. So God bless you. Have a good day, and I'll see you around. Okay, um, so Omar says, I have no. Are you saying that I have no proof that I'm just words, or that Scuff has no proof that he's just words? Um, so you can look this stuff up, bro. Look it up. Google it. You're sitting on your phone right now. Google it. See if that actually happened. So it did actually happen. I'm not just saying words. This is all empirical proof. It's on the internet, bro. So you can still look that stuff up. I think he was talking about Scuff, right? Google isn't proof. You can look it up in a book. Don't Google it. Go and pick up the. There's a book that's called the Smith's Dictionary of the Bible, and that is what all scholars around the world use because he had gone and done the research from all the different religions and put together all of the dates for everything and correlated all of them into a book that's out there in the world that all religions use. So, I mean, unless you think you have some other thing, I mean, you Google, you're right. It's probably because it's run by secularists, bro. It's probably way off. I agree with you. And then AI is running everything now. So when you look things up, if the AI is written by an evil person, you're going to get the response that they want to give you. If AI on another platform is written by a good person, you're going to get that or their agenda. But if you get that paranoid, you know what I mean? The truth is, you got to go and look at books. Do you know how to read? Go and look at books. That's where you're going to get the stuff, right? So, yeah, see? So by the way, it was in 325 AD, and he said like it was 390 or something like that. But even that, we don't know 100%. I mean, you can look it up, and I don't have the dictionary in front of me either, and I didn't Google it, right? So thank you for that, Tamika. So so the Council of Nicaea actually happened. Let's get back on point, right? Let's get back on point. So literally to go on. I don't know if Scuff's still here to because he said he was done listening to lies and he was going to take off. So literally the entire Bible was rewritten twice, and we know that because they hunted down all these people called the Essenes and tried to kill them for the books that they had taken out that those people still had. We know that to be true because those books were found in 1948 in the Dead Sea. So we know about that. But then people say those books were never in the same people say those books were never in the Bible. However, the Ethiopians have now come out with a Bible that they have claiming this is the original Bible. Okay. And the books that are in there are weirdly the same books that were found in the Dead Sea. And the Eastern Orthodox Church in the United States of America, or not in the United States of America, over in the Middle East, over in the Far East, they also said, look, here's our Bible that we didn't let them change either. And weirdly, the same books are in that Bible that are in the Ethiopian Bible, and all those books that were in the Dead Sea seem to be those books that are in there. So we know that empirically the Bible was changed, and it's been changed over time many times. Like I said, then you get forward into the time of King James, and the King James changed it again. We know that. And now, if you look at today, we have this new international version of the Bible where they re-edited it again to modern English. So then, of course, they're changing things a little bit more, right? So, so there's a lot more things that have changed in there, right? So what can you believe? Well, here's the thing, okay? I wrote a book. You can see it in the background right here. I wrote a book talking about that, okay? There's a reason why that book's called the Reality About Reality: Returning to the Old Ways. Because in there, being a theologian, okay, I've researched this stuff. That is what I do. I research all religions from across the world. And instead of doing a comparative religion, which is what most theologians do, they're like, well, this book, like this story of the flood, sounds like the flood, in the Hebrew Bible, but that also is the flood from the Mesopotamian, and then they start chasing these scrolls, looking for the oldest and older scroll, and then what they're doing is they're ignoring the things that they all have in common. Okay. So they actually are ignoring the fact that there is a storyline that everybody had, right? What is the storyline? Oh, I don't know, because they're all copying from one another. Who cares that they're copying? What are they copying? Okay. What is it they're copying? What they're copying is a storyline that is telling the exact same story. So it's powerful enough that every single people, when you take away the semantical things of you can't say God's name in vain, or you can't say God's name at all, or you can't draw a picture of God, or you can't eat beef, or you can't eat pork, or you can't cut your hair, or you can't get a tattoo, or the Roman Catholic religion, you can't get married, if you're a clergy. You take away those things, right? And you take all those away. Jay Lee, thank you, by the way. Thank you for those gifts. Like I said before, guys, hit those hearts for me too, because you got to have all this stuff so that TikTok will open up the features. So you literally have to take a look at what it is. Oh, thank you. Whoever did that, thank you. Was that Jay Lee again? Thank you, Jay Lee. Jay Lee June, thank you for that. Bo, thank you for the roses. So you literally have to look at what it is that all of them have in common instead of looking at the differences that they're fighting over. Ooh, look at that. Nice hat. TikTok, right? Nice hat. That's cool. Thank you for that. So you literally have to look at what is it that they have in common. Okay. What they have in common is this story. And I talk about that in my book, which is right there. Okay. You guys can actually see that. I talk about that in my book. What is the story? What is the knowledge that they're all talking about? It's a knowledge that everybody is doing throughout all of history until a certain point. Okay. Everybody back in the day, right? We say that, I'm an American, even though I'm in Australia now, but back in the day, I think you guys say that just about everywhere if you have any European blood in you. So 100 million years ago, not quite. Where's the people that are going to get mad because they said 100 million years ago, right? Right. Thank you. Double tap everyone. Let's get me 10,000 likes. Thank you very much, Jaylee. I love you. Everybody hit those hearts, champions. Smash those hearts for me so I can get 10K likes. So literally, um, if you look back in time, 10,000 years ago, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, the Greeks knew about this same thing. So did the Romans. So did the Egyptians. So do all these people around the world. So do the Vikings, for crying out loud. So do the Hebrews. What is that information? That information is in my book. You guys can buy my book and find that out. But you can look that stuff up online. I literally I was live last Saturday. Today's Monday, so it was 2 days ago I was live if you're in Australia, because today's actually Sunday if you're in the United States or over in Europe. Although you guys might be past midnight now in the UK. I don't know, right? So I usually do, Jaylee. I usually have moderators so that people, when they come in, if they're trolling, they'll get booted out. My wife usually does it. She's at work, and Peter usually does it. I should have made Bo one. Peter usually does it, but Peter's sleeping because he's in the UK. So right now I'm kind of flying with him on my own to where I would have to moderate and kick people. But I try not to just boot people immediately. But yeah, a couple of those guys I probably just should have booted out like right off the bat. You know what I mean? But I was trying to be nice to them. They're just telling me I was lying when I was actually telling real history. But because I got a date slightly wrong, dude flipped out and said I was lying about it. And then he got the date wrong. Thank you for showing that to him, by the way. I think he was gone by then. I think he decided to leave by then on his own. So, but you're right. And I do need to have moderators, and normally I do, but I decided to impromptu go live just because I was using the studio here. Because when I went live 2 days ago, I was using my phone because I was using StreamYard to go live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So right now I'm just live here on TikTok on the TikTok studio. But I'm not on my phone. I'm using the TikTok live studio. I'm trying to kind of get used to it. The chat's in the same place, and the features aren't as good over here as the ones that I pay for on StreamYard. But you can't use StreamYard to go on TikTok. So I'm working on figuring that out, and That's why I'm using this now. So yeah, I can see the yeah. I can see the chat, and I'm sure you guys can see that too, right? The chat's on the screen there, so you guys can see it. I can see the chat. I can see what's going on there. But like I said, I try not to. I try not to just get mad and block people or kick them out of a group, especially if somebody's just angry and deciding to yell at stuff, right? Yeah, you guys can all see the chat, right? So you can see what everybody's saying there, right? Robert O'Neill, are you related to? I might be. I don't know Robert. I think Robert, I've seen, doesn't Robert go live? But the O'Neill name is not Smith or Jones. So it's very possible that I am related to Robert O'Neill, but I don't know for certain, Banana. Honestly, I would have to look into it because I was actually born Neil, Neal, like Robert's name. And I changed my name back to the ancient way, Neill. But I was born Neil. So we're probably related. I just don't know. If Robert has a middle name and his middle name is Edward, chances are we're related. So I'll have to look into it because sometimes that happens when I was working. I'm kind of going off topic, but you brought that up. When I was working, this woman walked in and her last name was O'Neill, and I said, O'Neill, I'm an O'Neill. And we got to talking and found out we were like second cousins. So it's not like Smith or Jones, as we would say in America. O'Neill and Neil is usually, Neil, like Shaquille O'Neal. I could be related to him, but chances are his family was given that name. When the slaves were freed in the United States, the slave owners gave them all of what they called and considered slave names. So the Mick names, the Henderson, Johnson, O'Neill, McNeil, all those Irish, Scottish, and Norwegian names, they started giving to all of the black people because they considered all of those people, all of us Europeans that were beneath their Europeanness. They considered all of us to be slave labor, and they were the kings and queens with their names. So they were giving all the names to everybody, and that's why you see a lot of African Americans with those names that sound very Norwegian or Scottish or Irish. So, like I said, if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and type them in the chat. I can continue talking about the Jesus thing if you like, but I could also talk about other things that are more important than whether Jesus existed or not. Jesus did exist as a person. We have empirical proof of that. They even have the shroud that people said was fake, and but now they've determined that the shroud could not have been faked because we can't even fake the shroud with the technology that we have currently. But if you want to say that everything's a lie, like a couple of you guys were, Google's a lie. Google probably is lying most of the time. I would use a different search engine, but I don't work for anybody, so I'm not gonna, you have free will here, even though you don't know you do. So you have free will, so you have to choose what you want to believe and what you want to do, right? And so you guys need to do that and figure that out for yourself, right? So what is King Omar saying? Thank you. Ask one question at a time and then let him answer, right? So yeah, if you guys want me to answer a question, answer the question. Make it specific, please, because if you're going to do something blanket like, tell me what you know about Jesus and prove that he's real, and then try to ask questions in between there. If I'm going to be going down this long road of something that large, because there are many theories, right? There are theories that Jesus never existed. I know that Jesus has existed, not because I think that, right? If you don't want to believe that Jesus existed, you're not going to, because you're going to choose to um, listen to somebody else's a theory, and if that's what you believe, then that's what you believe, right? I can prove it, but you won't listen. You're just words. See, okay, so you can prove it because you think it, right? So tell me what you think. Type it in the chat. Tell me what you think. I'm not going to get into an argument with you over it, but there's empirical proof that the Jesus character existed. And let me get beyond that. Okay, let me go beyond that. Jesus isn't just a single person that we need to be fighting over it, because Jesus is actually the story of the Christ oil, and the story of the Christ oil has already happened on this planet at least 12 times and possibly more, because they don't give credit to things like the exact same story of Jesus. um, Thor went through, Moses went through the same exact story, Marduk went through the same exact story. They were being the same exact character, right? So you have to realize that. So instead of yelling and saying I'm just words, I mean, I can say the same thing to you. I can say purple. You're just words. You don't know what you're talking about. I can just claim that too. I don't even know you. You don't know me. You don't know that I'm words. So what are your credentials? Let's start with that. Let's start with that. Omar the King. What are your? I have 4 religious titles in 4 different religions, and I'm a theologian. And if you understand what that means, then you'll know that that means I've spent my entire life, uh, you know, literally investigating religion. So you're saying you can prove Jesus didn't in any way exist, other than saying that the Romans created him to control the Jewish population, which was actually a very bad idea because the religion, when they were creating that, they were making the religion of Rome. That's what Constantine did. So what happened was he converted all the Romans, right? So was he trying to control a bunch of other people in the world? That's a very good possibility. He's trying to control everybody, and so they were making Jesus a god instead of a person, and that's what they've done, right? So yes, see, if you read my book, you would know that you're spiritual. My book, there's a quote in my book that I say, "Religion recruits you, spirituality waits for you to find it." So that's the words that I am. Okay, I don't sell a religion. I'm selling. If you read my bio, you would know that. So you came in here not even doing your own due diligence and homework. You came into my show not looking at my bio to find out what my credentials are, and you haven't given me any credentials either, by the way, other than your words, right? So if we want to go down that road, I can say you're just words, right? So people should not be really following a religion unless they want to. And I'm a minister of four different religions, and I tell you this. That's the name of my book, The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways. There's a reason for that, right? So well, that's because it's my podcast and I'm here to talk about that. You're not typing anything, bro. You're just attacking me, right? So you're the type of person that if I had a moderator right now, they would have already kicked you out because you're not here to do anything besides be combative. I think that if you have the knowledge that you think you have, you should go live and have your own podcast and talk about it, right? Because what you're doing is just yelling past me and not listening. So what I'm going to have to end up doing if you don't stop is I am going to have to like boot you out, bro, or mute you or something. And I don't want to do that. I don't like doing that to people. I really don't. So I would prefer that you just would start talking and be cool about that. You know what I mean? I don't want to block you. Why would I want to block you? So you want me to block you? See, that's weird, bro. That's weird that you come in here and you're telling me block me. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. That's crazy, dude. So do you just show up on people's lives and try to get blocked? Is that what you do? That's just crazy. If you believe in something and you know what you're talking about, why are you going into other people's things and then yelling about it, yelling past them and doing what you're doing? That's just stupid. I don't understand. Oh, and now I'm judgmental. Come on, bro. Look at what you've been saying. I'm judgmental because I'm actually pointing out what you've been doing. See, bro, you're just combative. You're combative, and that's all you're doing. That's just crazy, bro. Just calm down and talk. Ask questions. Don't come in and go, "You don't know anything. I know everything." When you do that, people just block you, and that's stupid, bro. You don't need that. You could start your own show if you know all this stuff. You should be going live and talking about it, but not screaming and stuff, dude. Come on, act like an adult. How old are you? You got to be more than like 16 years old, right? So yeah, I don't know, man. He's toxic. Is that it? Should I be booting him out then? Right? I don't preach. Sorry. Well, that's okay, bro. You're 50. Oh, come on, dude. You know how to have a better temperament than that. You're an adult. You're like 8 years younger than me. Come on, brother. You don't need to be yelling and screaming. Just relax, dude. Come on. Why do you think we're here? Let me ask you questions. Why do you think we're here on this earth, dude? I can give you the lowdown on that, right? So yeah, I mean it's cool. Don't just freak, bro. You just hang, just relax, dude. There's no reason to yell, right? I mean, you have your opinion. If you have your opinion, that's okay. We can all have opinions, dude. If like I said, you're telling me that I'm not letting you talk. You're in the chat, bro. You can type whatever you want. Type in there. Give me your credentials, dude. What have you been doing? How many titles do you have? Right? I mean, I'm not trying to throw titles around because I hate titles, right? I do. I hate titles, but I mean, you're just going crazy, dude. I think we're on the earth to learn. Yes, yes. And what is that? AI comedy bar. I love that. I wonder if you're really AI comedy or not. Right? AI. That's hilarious, right? Or is that supposed to be Al, dude? And I'm missing it because the AI is in everybody's head. I think we're on earth to learn. about ourselves through the duality of this existence. Absolutely, brother. 100%, right? Absolutely 100%. Yeah, I know, right? If he keeps going, right? Look at my page. I will look at your page, brother. I swear to you, honestly. Friend me, Omar. Friend me, dude, and I will look at your page. And if you want to have a conversation, we can do that at another time. We can debate. I love doing that. Trust me, bro. I love going back and forth because that's how we learn, right? Did you? Okay, I'm glad that you did, and I will look at your page, brother. Just relax, man, and we can get that. So no, I just do stand-up comedy skits using AI. All right, that sounded funny, bro. But you're a real person. I know. I was like, dude, are you AI or what? I wasn't sure. All right, I'll assume you're a real person. Right? That's hilarious, dude. But okay, so yes, we are here to learn from the duality of our dichotomy, right? Omar, I didn't think you were AI, brother. Seriously, AI doesn't react the way you are. But I was talking to AI comedy bar there because I thought maybe he was AI for a second, right? Because I was like, dude, it says AI. Are you AI or you know what I mean? So Aboriginal and Egyptian. Wow, so you're in Australia, dude. Oh, I would love to talk to you, right? We'll have to talk when I'm not live, bro. We'll message one another and then we'll get on a call, right? We can get on a call, dude, and talk because I would love to hear what you got going on, bro, and I'd love to hear what your take on it is. Um, but you're not Australian. No, 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 not Australian. So you're Aboriginally, like Native American Aboriginally, or some other. Or are you Islander? Those people that are not on Australia that are I don't know what they're called, and I guess that's Aboriginal. Is that right, bro? I'm not sure if I'm understanding that. Raven, welcome. Um, yeah, so let me know what that because you're saying Aboriginal. So Aborigine, so original to which continent, bro? Because there's people like South America, North America, Aborigines here in Australia. There's the Islanders that are off the coast here that consider themselves something different. You know what I mean? Um, so, whoops, I'm messing around with my stuff here. So yeah, so let's get back on point with what AI Bar was talking. If I missed you guys' question, I apologize for that. Because do you know about Enuma Elish? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I've read that several times. That's where people they seem to insert that Anunnaki word into there and say that it's an alien species that came to Earth. But the Enuma Elish is the same story, brother. That what I was talking about before, the story of the Christ, that sacrifice and fighting like Thor fought the dragon of the North Sea, Jesus fought the serpent in the garden. Marduk fought the Tiamat, his grandmother, great grandmother. I'm not exactly sure what that relation was, but they were definitely some sort of relation in the god pantheon there. I think it was his grandmother or great grandmother. But he did the same thing. So he went on the same hero journey, the same hero quest. If you look at, there's a book by what is his name, Joseph Campbell, called The Hero of a Thousand Faces. It's like this thick. He taught philosophy and he taught mythology at a college in the United States until he passed, and he was very wise. And he talked about that all of us go through that same thing, like Carl Jung, and he referred to Carl Jung a lot in that Dark Night of the Soul, that descent and that hero quest that we all go on. And there are certain people in history like Marduk, Thor, Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, in history, even people like Mahatma Gandhi, that went through that same thing in history, and were kind of showing us this stuff that is the dark night of the soul, the sacrifice, and then the ascension, which was the supposed to be the way that we were supposed to be learning, like the Tao from Taoism, from Lao Tzu. Religion has nothing to do with Jesus. No, and Jesus wasn't even on a cross, bro. He was crucified on an X. It wasn't on a T. He was crucified on an X. That's the way they were crucified back then. They get that all wrong, and they wouldn't have put the nails in his hands because he could have pulled the nails out between the fingers here. They would have put him in his wrists, not in his hands. So they got all that wrong. You're absolutely right, Omar. They got all that wrong. That stuff was changed, I believe, right? What does Tamika say? Do you still do you think it still classed as sin to have children outside of wedlock? No, that's semantical to me, because that's semantical. That's rules that people made up. God never said that kind of stuff. Those are rules like Moses supposedly got word from God that he chiseled on the rock. It was 10 laws, and the Hebrews turned it into like 6,000 laws. They're things that they're kind of really trying to have help, and then they tell you that if you don't obey their laws, they have to throw rocks at you and kill you. That's what they did back then. They would stone you to death, or and then they kick you out of the church, and they tell you you're going to die and go to this place called hell that didn't even exist until the people borrowed it from over in another religion. Um, so AI bar says the cross is actually a sign of transmuting. Yes, because that was the actual. I love that you've gotten that far, right? Transmuting what was the symbol of oppression into salvation and symbolism. Well, in the story, it was supposed to be doing exactly that. You're absolutely right, because he was showing the way, and so he had to be crucified. So even if they made it up, they had to put him on. They had to have him crucified so that he could sacrifice his life and then be resurrected and show the way. That's why he said. That's why Jesus said, "I am the way." But I mean, that same storyline reoccurred at least 12 times in history. So he wasn't the first one to do it. Probably won't be the last. I mean, so many people after that religions will probably be turned into. In the next 100 or so years, they'll pop up from somebody else who sacrificed themselves. That they will go down in history in 1,000 years as a savior character, because we're all supposed to learn that. I agree with, right, all these things that all of these ascended masters supposedly did or talked about, not the ones who didn't get crucified or killed or destroyed, like Lao Tzu and the Buddha. Lao Tzu writing that the Taoism has become the religion around that figure. That all of that information is trying. That's the meat of what I was talking about before when I said they're chasing all these scrolls to see who borrowed what from who, when the truth is, what is the meat of that? All of those scrolls that they keep saying was borrowed from everybody else. What is that one thing? That's what I wrote about in my book. What is the message that is in all of those that's the same? The only message in all of those that is the same is the core of the message, and that is this is what's going on in the universe, right? Religions are so similar, but also this is what AI comedy bar is saying, that religions are so similar, but also when you look at the serpent in the garden, and it's borrowed from Tiamat. Well, see, that's the thing. See, what you're doing there is the same thing they want you to do. Is it? Yeah, it's the same story, bro. Um, and if you look at, they always say that the Enuma Elish is the oldest scroll ever in history, but that's not true, because the word Anu is there, the god Anu. People were thinking that that was an Arcadian god, because the Greeks lived near next to them in Arcadia. They were Greeks, and they borrowed that word. This is what Sitchin thought in 1948 when he was trying to translate, but he didn't know what he was doing. It would be like me. I don't know their language, and if I were just trying to figure it out, I would be making mistakes. But he saw the word Anu, and he knew enough to say, well, the Greeks over here have a god named Anu. Maybe they were talking about the Anu. But when you find out from that language, they borrowed that story from, like he thought, from the Greeks. So when you go to the Greeks, they go, that's not our story. That's a story that we got from the Egyptians. And then when you go to the Egyptians, you go, where did you guys get this story? Is it yours? They're like, no, it came from a culture that was here before us. But was it the Mesopotamians? No, it was older than them. Do you see? So everybody borrowed that story, but then you have that same exact story that Thor did. So are we to believe that the Vikings made their way all the way over to the east and borrowed the story as well? Because everyone has that story. They all have the same storyline. So what is the storyline? That's what we should be focusing on, right? Is what's more important? Archangel Michael is a lot of Horus, Gabriel, Raphael, Thoth, etc. No, well, I believe they're all the same. The story is the same. I'm literally right now doing the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and interpreting them. And I was live 2 days ago here on TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, but I never finished the 15th tablet because I was doing like this and I was answering questions. So I never got to finish the 15th tablet. But you're absolutely right. The first 7 tablets of Thoth the Atlantean is balancing the chakras, telling you how to balance the chakras. In that, look, you have a veiling, you're veiled, and you're veiled because God created this school for you, and you're in it. And this is how you get out of here. That's the Egyptian Book of the Dead. That's what's in the Revelations, in the letters to the churches. It's in everything. I mean, you look at the story of Thor. Thor gets into it with his father. His father says, "You're not worthy. You're going to have to be the head god sometime. I'm going to have to send you down in flesh." He sends him down in flesh. So the story's a little bit different because it's a more of a warlike society. Sends him down in flesh. He can't pick up Mjolnir because he's now human and he has to prove himself. And how does he do that? He has to die for the humans and sacrifice himself. But he's resurrected, can pick up lightning. Mjolnir means lightning. Thor means thunder. And then he can crack the sky, illuminate people, go back to Valhalla, illuminate the world, and chase away Fenrir the wolf. Fenrir the wolf is the clouds that are in the sky. That's the darkness. That's the veiling, and he's saying that it's covering the sky. Fenrir the wolf is Hela's his sister Hel's dog that's keeping darkness covering the land. So you're absolutely right, bro. It is all of that is the same storyline, right? Peter's online, but he won't join. I don't understand. If Peter's online, he's probably sleeping or he's over in the Commander Elion is live right now, and Peter's usually in the audience moderating for him, so it's possible. I don't know, right? I don't know if that's what's going on with Peter, but he could be sleeping, bro. He's in the UK, right? So you're absolutely right when you look at that. That's why I talk about this, because we need to get back to the old ways. All these religions have been corrupted throughout time, and they're all corrupted in a way that is keeping us from learning that knowledge, that Christ oil that is in within you. It's within each one of us, and that stuff actually happens once a month in your own body. And if you track that and you are not self-serving and you're in service to others and you meditate at that moment, or just eat right food and don't drink alcohol and have sex for the 3-day time period, that 2.5-day time period, then you actually illuminate yourself with that Christ oil, right? And it's in my book. You can look up God Man. It's another book, God Man, the Bible Made Flesh. That came out like 1948 or something like that. They talk about that as well, right? So yeah, double tap those hearts for me, people. Let's get my hearts up so I can unlock all the other junk that they need me to unlock, so that I can get the better, like, whatever things that I'm supposed to have to be able to be going live. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for helping moderate there, Jaylee June, please, thank you. Right. So, half pie brother, welcome. Right. So you followed me. Thank you for doing that. You guys follow me too, right? Remember to follow me, so you know when I go live, because I am going live on TikTok more now. I was going live on, and I do go live on Facebook and YouTube as well. I did that 2 days ago. That's my normal show that I've been doing for 8 years. My podcast is called Orion Rising. I don't have a logo up here. And I do that. I break down religions for you. Exactly. I'd love to have more conversations with the AI comedy. He's comedy, but you do comedy with AI. That's hilarious, bro. I love that. I'm gonna have to watch your show. Make sure you follow me, brother. AI comedy. Make sure you follow me so I can follow you back, because I want to check out your stuff, bro. That's hilarious right there. And Jay Lee, make sure you're following me too, please. Right. Yeah, please, brother, follow me so I can follow you, because I want to check out your stuff. Right, you do comedy with AI. That's freaking novel, bro. That's hilarious. I love the idea. Even if you just have it writing it for you, I don't care what you're doing. Using AI with comedy is like the new thing. Use stuff, right? And so you're the first person that I've even saw that do that. I work with AI. So I was like, let me do something funny with. Yeah, bro. I love that idea. Right? I love that idea. That's better than having a freaking ventriloquist puppet. Right? I love it. I'm gonna watch your stuff. So I hope you're funny, bro. I hope you are. I love comedy. My wife will too. We'll if you're we'll watch it. Okay. I wish she was here. She'd be already following. Um, so you're absolutely right. You're on to it, right? And I love when people like you guys find me, because most of the time I start talking about that and I get people, like some of the guys were yelling at me, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Whoa, slow down. You don't have to yell about this stuff, right? I got a date wrong. Don't get upset about me getting a date wrong because you're asking me questions and I'm running, doing stuff. But what's going on here? Let's talk about that. Okay. What is going on here? What's going on here is you're in a school, and oh man, there's some people that hate when I say that. Absolutely. The Gnosis people hate that because they believe that they talked to Jesus by himself and he gave them a different story than he told everybody else. And there's even in Mary's book, but Mary was married to him, so Mary would have a little bit more insight if Jesus told her something, right? Do I think that every religion has their own take on the Bible? Well, yeah, they kind of have, Tamika. They kind of have. And the reason I say that is because, like, in the Christian religion, there are so many different Christian churches now. What most of you guys don't realize is that up until very recent, up until about 10 years ago or 15 years ago, all of the Bibles that all of the Christian religions use were Roman Catholic Bibles that they printed. Okay. And the curriculum that you use, I don't have one to show you now because I moved from California because I grew up in the United States and I moved here because I got married and I came over to Australia to be with my wife, and I'm staying in Australia with my wife. So I didn't bring my Bible, but I have one of those Bibles that a minister has that has all the notes and stuff and all the cross references and all that, and it has a curriculum. So the curriculum for the Christian Bible is either a 2 year, a 3 year, or a 5 year curriculum, and that means that literally they will go in a loop every 2 years or every 3 years or every 5 years, but they change things slightly, but it's the same. Like in September, usually in September, every second or fifth year, you will be talking about relationships and a relationship with God and relationship with your family. And we just did that last September. Okay. I don't know if it was this last year, but it was the year, but depending on where you are, it'll do that. So what they've done is, like Constantine, we were talking about this before at the First and Second Council of Nicaea, they changed the Bible and they changed it in a way that made Jesus God when he wasn't God, because they created the Trinity, because they said in the beginning the God was there and the Word was with God and the Word was God. That made Jesus the Word. They said Jesus was the Word of God, and then that made him God. Okay. Just because you're speaking for someone, the Metatron speaks for God. That doesn't make the Metatron God, right? But it's different because Jesus is the Son of God. Well, how can the Son of God be God at the same time? Because of the Trinity. In nomine Patri, Filii, Spiritus Sancti, right? So it's the Trinity. So they changed it. But the meat of all Christian religions are still trying to get you to heaven, okay? So you have to realize that, all right? But they all kind of have their own take. What happens is they take that meat of you're supposed to be trying to get to heaven, and then they teach you their way of doing that, and that becomes the religion, their way of culturally that they want you to do that, and it becomes a religion. So when I was a kid, my father said to me, you should, yeah, if you read the Bible, he said to me, read more than one Bible, read everyone's Bible, go to their churches, and then you can see what fits for you, because they're all after, just like AI and I were talking about. AI, I don't want to call you AI, bro. I'm going to call you Comedy Bar, because calling you AI is I'm calling you like people are going to go, that guy's AI. So I'm going to call you Comedy Bar. So Comedy Bar, and I would, the meat of the religion itself, for all those other things are semantics. Those are just their way of doing it, right? So you got to find the one that has your way that you like, that does it, right? Or none of them. So if you've read the scriptures many times, they used to not let you do that. They used to not let you read the Bible because they said you were going to get the wrong idea, right? But you got to think for yourself. So you got to read this stuff. So good for you that you're doing that and reading for yourself, right? Let's see, AI says, or a Comedy Bar says, in fact, I've even just daily existing is enough proof. I'd say, like man and woman, we live in opposites. Well, that's the duality, right? That's the duality. The duality is the creator of the universe. This is the stuff they threw out because they don't want you to know about. The creator of the universe doesn't have a sex. The creator of the universe is masculine, feminine, Godhead that is neither man or female, but both masculine and feminine at the exact same time. But to have this organic experience that we're having here, there had to be the separation. And when the separation happened, as well as the separation between the ego and the conscience. So you have the ego on the left shoulder and the conscience on the right. That's the devil on one side and the conscience on the other, the angel on the other. Those are aspects of us. Those are the positive and negative, masculine and feminine aspects of all of us. Okay. So that stuff is, if we're supposed to blend that and find where we fit. We're either in service to self or we're in service to others as a soul, right? So we have to figure out where we fit in that whole scenario of what's going on, and we choose. In the Native Americans, they would say you become the wolf that you feed the most. So you have two wolves, and that's the devil on one shoulder and the conscience, the angel on the other. Devil on one shoulder being ego and evil, and the conscience on the other shoulder being the angel and good. And whichever one you feed the most, whether you're in service to others or in service to self, is going to determine who you become, right? And that information is in like all of the scriptures, right? I've read the Bible. Tamika said I've read the Bible many times, and Jehovah's Witness have completely different take on what I say. Yes, agreed. Each people's ideology. There were people that got together. If it was one person or many, they got together and they said, "This is the way we think. This is supposed to be done." And then they create a religion, and that religion is their way. And what's happened is all of them have been corrupted in some ways to the point where they're not actually teaching any of the way from the people who they're quoting, right? So, like the Taoists, or the Buddhists, they turned it into a religion, and you have to study for all your life all of this philosophy and all these things. It's not bad, but they're not actually teaching you how to get out of here. They're teaching you how to stay here and wait and do all this studying for the rest of your existence, but they're not teaching you why you're supposed to be doing that and what you're supposed to get out of it. The Taoists are the same. The Hebrews are the same. The Christians are the same. Even the Vikings are the same. All these religions around the world, they're no longer teaching you the information that you're supposed to be looking for or figuring out to get out of here. And that's what's caused. Hold on, I gotta prove I'm not a robot. There we go. Sorry about that. Had to prove I wasn't a robot. I don't know if you guys heard the ringing. I had to put the puzzle piece over there so that they knew that I wasn't an AI, right? So let's see. What are you saying? Tamika says my mom believes very much spirituality, and she would tell me we sign a contract on our lives. You actually do. Your mom's very spiritual. She's probably pretty much insightful. I don't know where she got that from, but she's accurate. This is what I was starting to tell when the guys earlier were going, "Your words, you don't know what you're talking about," and they were just yelling past me and didn't want to hear anything. Before you come into this life, okay, you're in the place of reflection. Your soul, your immortal soul, that's who you are. You're not this physical pain body. I'm not this physical pain body. I'm not Leonard O'Neill. That's the physical body that I am occupying as an avatar. The soul that is speaking to you, my name is Kelto, and I am forever. I am an immortal soul, and I know that because I am awake and I am not veiled. So I have all the memories of everything. I know every life that I've been on this earth, who I was in every life, and people will go, "You can't prove that." I can tell you these things and you could probably look them up, but then you would just say to me that I just looked those up ahead of time and I'm lying about it because you would choose that. So, because you have the choice, you can either believe the words that I'm saying or you cannot. That's what I tell people. I tell everybody not to believe a word that I'm saying. They should go and look it up for themselves because that's the only way that we learn, right? So, but I will tell you what I do know, okay? Your mother's right about that. Before you come down here, you're in the place of reflection and you're planning a life, and you actually sign contracts, and you sign contracts with other souls to be in and around their lives, and to meet one another. And you're veiled when you get here, so you don't know it, but it does happen. So you draw up your life. I need to learn all of these things, and I want this place. You insert it basically. You're at the Akashic Records, halls of the Mente, Valhalla, Elysium, heaven, whatever you call that place, whatever you know that place as, in whatever religious background that you have or spiritual practice. And then you draw that up, and then you actually orchestrate your life, and then you go into the body that you were claiming when there's a child that's going to start growing in the mother's womb. You move into that body, and then you would normally become veiled so you wouldn't remember, and you're just in the body, and at some point the veiling takes hold completely and you don't remember why you're there, and then you're born into a life and you're supposed to have an organic experience of what's going on, okay? That's where discernment yeah, that's where discernment comes in through reasoning and perhaps faith as well, right? A comedy bar said that. So, and see, that's truly, each one of us has to decide what we believe and what we find is our path. Your path is your path. That no one's on the wrong path. Everybody decides that they think they need to tell you what path you should be on. And so they're like, this is my path. You should be doing what I'm doing. And that's what people do. Unfortunately, humans are that way. That's just part of the experience, right? You got to do your own thing. Your mom will believe what she believes. You believe what you believe, and you walk your path, and that doesn't matter. And if she gets mad at you, she's going to get mad at you, but she'll have the same pants to get glad in. So if you don't agree with me and you don't agree with mom, it's okay. But if you're still trying to learn and you're still trying to expand your consciousness, then have a listen to what your mom's saying, listen to what Comedy Bar is saying, listen to what I'm saying, listen to what the other people in the audience are saying. Round out your opinion, because we don't see reality for what reality truly is. We see reality through our eyes and our experience. Okay, your focus determines your reality, and your experience is what determines your focus. That's what determines your experience is your experience. So everything that happens to you molds you the way you are, and you only have those things to rely on to make your decisions. Do you see? So you will make different decisions than I will, and different decisions that Comedy Bar will, because even though we're all humans, we've all grown up in a completely different life. We're a fracture of the creator, but we're an individual, and we have our own individual perceptions, memories, and experiences, and that develops into our personality, and that develops into who we are and what we will or will not believe. Do you see? So you have to look at it that way. So yes, Tamika says, I totally believe. Comedy Bar says it's like when we think about what happens before we're alive. How could you not have been, right? How could you not have been? You had to have been something before you came down here. That's like the chicken and the egg. That's like saying, if God was the creator of the universe, then what happened before that? Who created God? How did God get here? That's a valid question, right? And then people say that, well, if God, how can you prove that God is here? Where is God in the universe? God's not in the universe because God created the universe. So God's outside the universe. Do you understand that? So when people say, well, then when is God? Well, time is in the universe. God is outside of the universe because he created the universe and he created time, right? I say he is a vernacular. Don't get mad at me. Somebody's going to yell at me and go, God's not a man. I'm not using that I'm using that as a vernacular because most people understand it that way. I'm not trying to give it a sex. God is they, right? They, them, right? So Tamiki said, I totally believe that's good. And always look forward, always try to figure out what it is that right, as you grow and learn, right? Because so a Comedy Bar says, as you grow and learn, your life changes a lot around you as well. Um, because that's what happens. You change and life changes. Do you see? When you learn, you change. When you experience, you change, right? So life is going to change who you are right now. Let's get real, like, out there with that. Who you are right this second is not who you're going to be by the time you stop watching what I'm talking about on this episode. My life is not going to be the same, and I'm not going to be the same person that I was when I started this episode, because I'm interacting with you guys and we're having a conversation. You're asking questions and I'm giving you answers, and I'm talking about things that are posing more questions, and other people are asking questions, and like Comedy Bar is asking questions and also giving you some very good advice at the same time. So that's going to expand your consciousness. It's going to expand his consciousness. It's going to expand my consciousness, and we're not going to be the same. That's how we evolve. We're evolving every second because of having this organic experience. Do you see? So everything that happens is happening, and we're changing, and we're never going to go back. You can't go back to be that person that you were before, ever. So I tell people that when you get to a certain point in your existence and your development, be careful, because you can't go back after that, and you're going to be where you are. You can't go back after that. So realize that you're going to grow, right? As you grow and learn, your life changes around you. Like you were saying, wait, can we talk about Fenrir for a moment? Yes. Has fate His fate was ill-fated, so they destroyed him, right? Yeah. Well, his fate is Fenrir. Fenrir was the to use a vernacular, the god or the demon of the veiling. Okay, so the veiling only happens for a certain time. So you're right in what you're saying. that Fenrir was ill-fated, so they destroyed him because he was only to serve a purpose for a time. It's like they say in the Hebrew and Christian Bible, the devil shall rule the earth for a time. That suggests a beginning, a middle, and an end to that time, for a time. That means that there's an end to it. Fenrir is the the veiling. It's the as above, so below, as without, so within. It's actually supposed to be as below, so above, as within, so without. But they corrupted that in the of religions. So Fenrir, whether you believe Fenrir was a real person or the dog, was the everlasting sky that was covered in darkness, so the clouds became the physical representation of Fenrir. Fenrir was the veiling that is veiling the human condition. So Fenrir is only supposed to be there until that veiling is pierced by each individual. So eventually we all destroy Fenrir the wolf. So there had to be a saga that would show that Fenrir would at some point be scared away. So Thor uses his hammer and cracks the sky because Thor means thunder, Mjolnir means lightning. That's why he shot lightning from his hammer. And so he would throw his hammer in the saga, in the poem. He throws his hammer and the hammer hits the clouds and it lightning and thunder erupts and it scares off Fenrir the wolf and the clouds part and everybody can see he's the light of the world. He illuminates. So it's the Jesus as Jesus becomes the light of the world. It's the Christ oil that goes into your brain and it hits your hippocampus and it explodes with DMT and it illuminates you you become the light of the world. It becomes the light of the world. So it's that same story being told. So Fenrir has a meaning that it is a finite existence. Evil people that are self-serving have a finite existence. There is a time in the universe, and halfway through the sixth dimension, we're in the third dimension, third density. Halfway through the sixth density, evil can no longer get anywhere past that. That's the way the Creator created it. So evil gets stuck there. That's the purgatory. That's the hell that you will be the furthest that you could possibly be away from the light in a spiritual sense, not in a physical, because that place isn't physical. Because by the time you get there, you're out of your physical body and you're in the spirit body. So you can't go, and then everybody has to change and become non-self-serving and become in service to others to move back towards source. But you can stay there as long as you want. So Fenrir, in the strictest physical sense of that saga, being gods and goddesses and stuff, was that wolf, but it was the wolf of the veiling, and it covered the sky in darkness, and it was covering your sky in darkness, and so it was a metaphor, just like Jesus's death on the cross, his death and then resurrection and his illuminating and becoming the light of the world was the same, but it was told in a different way for different people. So the cross that he bore was darkness. Jesus died for the sins of the world, so he took on everybody's darkness. And then when he died, there was a rumble and an earthquake, and everything cracked, and the storm came, and then everybody that was there was awake and realized we just killed the Son of God, and they freaked out. Even the Romans were like, "Whoa!" They got scared and ran away because they knew what they had done. Jesus had said on the cross, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Okay. And then when he died, they knew what they had done and realized it because he became the light of the world. There was the darkness that came and the storm, and then the darkness cleared. And when the darkness cleared, they were able to see and they went, "What have we done?" And they ran. It's the same story being told a different way. Okay. So Tiamat's body becomes the sky. Now that's the same, right? If you look at those, and she's broken apart by Marduk. Okay. So if you look at that, in the Viking saga, it's the same. They killed one of the frost giants, the biggest frost giant, and that frost giant became the sky and the body in one of the sagas. And in the other saga, the dragon of the North Sea, the Orobus, the Ouroboros, the Aurora Borealis, the Aurora Borealis, as a matter of fact, that they see is Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, right? Have you ever seen the Northern Lights? That's the Aurora Borealis, right? That's the Orobus. That's where they get that word from. The Orbis was the dragon of the North Sea. It was the dragon that encompassed the earth, right? That was flying around the earth. That's the crossing over to Valhalla, the Bifrost, the going to Valhalla. So Thor defeats the dragon of the North Sea. Okay, he defeats the dragon of the North Sea, and then they use the dragon's skull, and the dragon's teeth becomes the land, and the scales become the mountains. There's a story like that in everybody's story. If you look at the Japanese, a woman comes out of an egg out of the ocean, and she puts dirt on the ground, and that creates the islands of Japan. And then she does the same thing. There's this destruction of the big giant who she creates, and she kills the giant, and then she makes the people, and then she takes the giant and puts his skull as the dome of night, and his body and his blood becomes the waters. Those are stories that are in every religion, that somebody is killed, and that person is usually the hero character. Marduk, who was a human at the time, was then given the plaque to be the head god. So he was then became the light of the world, the champion of the world, and saved the savior of the world, and they made him the all father. So it's the same story of Jesus' death and resurrection and becoming the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Do you see? Tiamat's the same. So that's why people say the Hebrews and the Christians borrowed that story from them. That story is the same story that everyone is telling. You can spend the rest of your life looking for who has the oldest story, or you can go, what is the story? That's why I wrote that book right there. What is the story that they're all copying? Because now if you look at 1928, we find that they found at the feet of Hermes Trismegistus, at his statue, they dig up down beneath the feet, and we find the emerald tablets, 1928. Those emerald tablets are supposed to be 75 to 100,000 years old, from Atlantis, Thoth the Atlantean. If that's true, that's older than the Enuma Elish, right? And then the story is the same. The Enuma Elish borrowed that story. So if we find out that that's older than the Enuma Elish, where did that come from? That doesn't matter. The truth is, it's all the same story, bro, right? So maybe the initial contract can be broken. If you're talking, I don't know if you're talking about the contract that we write or the contract of the veiling. All of that can be broken by each one of us individually. Okay. So, oh wow, that's amazing how much Fenrir reminds me of the story of Tiamat. It is the story of Tiamat, bro. It's the veiling. It's the same story. It's just told different. That's what Joseph Campbell was talking about when in his The Hero of a Thousand Faces. I've never read the book, but I studied the man when I was 16, 17 years old. And the stories of these sagas from all these religions and all these, like Heracles, it was the same. Heracles was supposedly a half god, right? And he couldn't be killed, and he had this one weakness, and it was in his what we call the Achilles heel, that tendon back there, that he got shot through, and then he died. And they said that was what his weakness was. If you look at his life, he went on the same quest, but he became kind of arrogant, and he had to have a fall, and he had to become humble, and he does during that battle, during the battle for Troy, which they said was not real, and the whole thing was made up by Homer, and now we found Troy exactly where Homer said that it was, right? So when you look at that, right? You said I broke mine a while back, right? Oh my God, that's funny. Life's never been the same since. You're hilarious, bro. See, you are a comedian. I love you. But I mean, the truth is we draw up contracts. Those contracts give us free will, though. So what we do is when we come down here, we're supposed to discover this. What I am telling you, the meat of all these religions are the way to the keys to the door, the secret to the universe and how to get out of here, right? And it's in everything. It is like that moment when, well, let's get into that, right? We show the same storylines in movies. Let's look at The Matrix, right? Neo is Jesus. Neo is the savior. He doesn't want to be the savior. He doesn't think he's the savior. I'm not the savior. John the Baptist is in the desert, out in the wilderness, saying the savior is coming. The savior is coming, and then Neo shows up and he says he's the savior. It's the same story of Jesus being retold in a different way. He doesn't want to be the one. He doesn't think he is, and when he goes to the oracle, she says, you are what you want to be, and she's telling him he has a choice, and he says, I'm not the one, am I? And she says, no, you're not. But he was the one. So did she lie to him? No, she didn't lie to him. She was the system telling him what he wanted to hear. She wasn't there to tell him who he was. She was there to tell him what he wanted to know. And he said, I'm not the one. No, you're not the one. Right. And then he was like, well, if I'm not the one, then I don't care about any of this. And he had no, at that point, he had no weight on his shoulders, and that allowed him to have an organic experience. And he was able to discover that Christ within himself, that hero within himself. That goes back to Joseph Campbell and the idea of all of philosophy, all of mythology is about that, and we all go through that. Jung said the same thing with the shadow, the dark night of the soul, and then you arise from that. That is the death into hell, the descent into hell when Jesus was crucified for not only his sins but everyone's sins. He went to hell and then he ascended to heaven. It's that exact thing. We hit rock bottom, and whether we're spiritual or not, we're going to hit rock bottom one day, and we're going to have that dark night of the soul. We're going to have that come to Jesus talk with ourselves, and we're going to go, I got to get back up and do something. Or you give up and you kill yourself. If you don't, you get back up and you become a survivor, and then you change something about yourself, and you end up, so ultimately break your contract. When in a sense you do, but you don't. You do, but you don't. Your contract is to learn what you need and get out of here. So you're not actually breaking the contract, you're fulfilling it. And that's the covenant that you hear them talk about, with the covenant of the Lord, and that 10% tithing. It has nothing to do with money that you hand the church. It's supposed to be the tithing within you. You're supposed to give back 10%, and that 10% that you're giving back is your own sacrifice. It's not money to God. It's not serving God. It's being in service to others, and then finding your own way. And that's what happens, right? There's a book that I ought to read that says My Lives with Lucifer, Satan, Hitler, and Jesus. I'll have to take a look at it. Seriously, I'll have to take a look at that. I'm going to write that down because I love anything that is in any way spiritual, or even a twist like that, right? What happens is when you start to wake up and the veiling starts, especially when the veiling disappears, then what happens is you have to go back and rewatch everything you've ever watched and listened to and read, right? So my life, it's called My Life. I'm writing this down on my phone right now. With My Life with Lucifer, right? Okay. He got a bad rap too, by the way. Satan, Hitler, oops, Hitler and Jesus. Love that. So, because that sounds like the hero journey if I ever heard it, right? That sounds like what we go through, because here's some stuff that gets people really annoyed and angry, right? It's written from someone who channeled Jesus, but the insight in it is amazing. There's a lot of people that channel Jesus these days, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people that channel a lot of people. I'm currently, while I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to you as Leonard O'Neill. I'm talking to you as Kelto, my higher self. So in the very real aspect, I'm channeling right now a being that is from halfway through the sixth density talking to you. But I'm that's who I am. That's who that person is. So, but Leonard O'Neill is this life in this body, but I am the immortal soul that is the witnesser and the one who is the puppet master of this body and all the other bodies and all the other people that I was on this earth. There's my wife. Hi, baby. There's my wife. Yeah, I did go live. I've been live for, I don't know how long I've been live. I would have to find it on the screen here. I've been live for a couple hours now. 2 hours, 23 minutes, 43 seconds, baby. Thank you. And yeah, so I apologize that I didn't. I guess you must be on your break. Yeah, you're on your break. I love you. So yeah, we were talking about your ears must have been burning, right? So I'm gonna have to get that. It's written by someone who channeled Jesus, right? So I'm gonna have to get that book. Comedy Bar there was just telling me about a book that I'm gonna have to take a look at and read, because it's got to be kind of cool. Somebody was channeling Jesus when they I guess wrote it. So a lot of people do that. You can channel just about anybody, right? When truly, if you know how to channel, you can channel people, and people will then go, "Oh, you're making stuff up." Well, how can I make up something that I don't know anything about? How can I make up something that everybody gets the knowledge of? And this is the thing: people who are egoic and they're veiled and they're living in the ego, or they're self-serving, they can't unlock a certain knowledge. but you can't unlock a certain knowledge that they can unlock. If you're in service to others and you start your ascension, you will unlock a certain knowledge that everyone can unlock. Everyone who is in service to others. If you're in service to self, you cannot unlock that knowledge. But whatever you can unlock as being in service to others, you cannot unlock the knowledge that the people who are self-serving unlock. There are two different packages of knowledge that is there for people to learn, self-serving or in service to others, right? So the people who are in, they're unveiled and they're not unveiling, or they're not unveiled all the way yet, and they haven't unlocked either one of those, or they're just starting to unlock one side. If somebody like me starts talking, they'll be like, "You don't know what you're talking about. You're making shit up. You're a liar." And prove it. Prove it. You want me to do something that's third dimensional, right? Prove something. What makes you think? Someone said that to me. What makes you think you know what you're talking about? I'm like, those are three concepts that you're coming up with right now. Thinking is a third dimensional construct that only happens in this illusion. Knowing is something that happens in another place that's not a dimension. It's actually a density. So what makes you think you know? Because somebody back, a Greek 5,000 years ago said, "I think, therefore I am." And so people think that that's what you're supposed to do. But what you're supposed to do is, when you first wake up, when you first are born in this life, "I think, therefore I am." That's what's happening to you. What you're supposed to realize is that eventually you're supposed to come to the realization of "I am, therefore I think." Okay, so people trip on that. So what makes me weird is that I like feeding both the perfect balance, self-serving to service to others. Well, see, then you have to balance those energies, right? But you've already picked a side. If you're like saying, "Oh no, I'm neutral and I feed both," you're not really neutral. You're self-serving and you're trying to pretend that you're not. You're fooling yourself if that's what you think you're doing, because you can't fool the universe. You've already picked one side and you're doing it, right? But you're trying to say, I don't like it, I don't have to. You can do that and say, "I'm not going to play and I'm just going to be here and do whatever I want," because you have that free will. So if that's what you're doing, do what you're going to do. Do it to the end, bro. Do what you're going to do, right? It's like if Morpheus gave me two pills, I'd probably pop both, right? See what happens. Ha! I love that, right? Pop both, see what happens. Yeah, who knows, right? Well, one's supposed to wake you up, one's supposed to put you back in the matrix. So if you took both, who knows what would happen? That's like in what was that TV series that was out, Seinfeld, and Newman, the guy, he said one time, I don't know if it was on that show or if it was on, he did a movie after that was called UHF, and it might have been in UHF, but I don't remember if it was UHF. The same guy played basically the same character, and it was like his job, right? And he came running in and he went, "So like if you're going at the speed of light, right, and you're in a spaceship and then you go your brain explode, right, because you're going at the speed of light." I think that's funny, right? I think that's funny, right? So it's more out of curiosity. I would love to know what would happen if you did both as well, bro. Honestly, I would love to know what would happen if you did both as well. So yeah, now that my wife's here, she's helping produce, so she's making sure that I see what you're saying in case I don't notice it. Thank you, baby, for doing that. Right? The lizards are near the what is it? The lizards are near the degrees, right? Or the question mark. The lizards are near the degrees. So yeah, no, yeah, you have to. I don't know what would happen, but if you're on your path and you don't care, right? And you're just like, "Look, I'm going to do whatever I want." That's your path and that's okay. You and your heart know whether you're self-serving or whether you're in service to others, no matter what you do in life. If you're just, living life and going, "Screw it, I'm going to take whatever I can get," it's all good, right? So Jed said that, right? So I'm not sure what that meant 100%. So all these stories of creation are rooted in duality. Why not use, and then I can't see the rest of that. I'll have to hold on. I got to hit the button here. Why not use it as a tool? Right. Well, I mean, that's the truth. The truth is that everything is a question of duality. You're supposed to realize that. And the duality is the dichotomy. It's the masculine, feminine, the masculine being the ego, the feminine being the passive, the passive being the loving, caring. So you have one that's one and one that's the other, right? Yeah, even whatever you build, you can be the next to destroy it because it all comes back in the end. Well, truly, right, Judd? Truly, Jed. I'm sorry, I said Jed. So truly, whatever you reap, you sow, or whatever you sow, you reap, right? So, whatever you do, whatever you put out there, you're going to get back, right? So, some people believe that if you put out something that's negative, you're going to get it back three times three. If you put out something that's positive, you get it back three times three. That's the karmic wheel of this matrix, really. So, if you put out there, that's the whole law of attraction and that kind of stuff, right? Whatever you put out there, you kind of get back. Whatever's happening, whatever you do, right? And then Comedy Bar says, yeah, even in life, even life ends. So all of us, well, what we do is really more for the experience. It is. That's what you're doing. You're here. You are an immortal soul, brother. You are an everlasting immortal spirit that cannot die, and you are in this body to have a mortal experience. Thank you for whoever that was that just joined the fan club. Was that Tanisha? Tanisha, welcome. She was live, and then you must have got off your live and saw that I was live. Thank you for coming over here. I saw that you were live earlier. My wife and I were watching you about 2 or 3 hours ago. Well, she was on lunch and we were watching you live. She popped in and I was sitting next to her. Brooke O'Neill, if you saw her pop into your live while you were talking, that's my wife, and we were chilling. So, so we were watching you for about an hour while you were live, and then she left, and then I came in here and started playing around. But to get back what you were saying, right? So it is about experience. This whole thing none of this is actually happening. Let me get way up here. None of this is actually happening. All of this is inside the mind of the creator. You, me, everybody else. We're a daydream, man. We're just a daydream, and we're pretending that we're separate people, and we don't know it because we've veiled ourselves to the fact that we're even God at all. And so that way we can have an organic experience of what it means to have the boogeyman chase us, death chase us around. That, oh my God, I'm trying not to die because I don't know what happens after that, and I got to run because death is coming for me, and I got to get out so that we can have this experience, man. We can have some cool food. We can have some cool sex. We can have some cool alcohol. We can watch movies. We can pierce our body. We can get tattoos. We can grow our hair. We can shave our head. We can do whatever we want, man. We have free will down here. Why? Because the creator wants to know what it's like. And that's what we're doing, right? You got to head out. All right, brother. That's cool. But I'm glad that you followed me so I can follow you back because I want to check out your comedy because I think you're hilarious, bro. And you're way awake. And I hope you weave that into your comedy. I hope you're weaving some of that awakeness that you have into your comedy. I'm going to check you out, brother. And maybe we'll talk, off camera at some point and get and hang out because you're hecka funny, bro. If you go live on TikTok, make sure I know it because you're hilarious, and I can't wait to see your stuff. Okay, have a good day, my friend. That was hilarious. So you guys have to realize he's hilarious. He's funny. I like him, but he's way awake. He's cool, way awake. He should be doing that in his comedy. He uses AI. I got to watch his stuff, baby. If you're still on here, we got to watch him. AI comedy bar. That's his name, and he uses AI in his comedy. He's a stand-up comedian. I love it, and we got to check him out. He's funny and he's really awake. Okay, so literally, yeah, brother. Like I said, I'll hook up. We'll hook up with you. So literally, you have to realize that the duality, like he said, like he was talking about the duality of what's going on. Thank you, Tanisha, for. It looks like you were like hitting those buttons for me, right? Thank you for doing that. Thank you for hitting those things. You guys hit those hearts for me so we can get my hearts up. I don't even know where the ticker is to find out how many I've had. I'm not even looking, but slam those hearts for me because that's how we unlock crap around here on the TikTok. So you guys got to do that and make sure you guys follow me, follow my page, hit that button so you know when I go live. Because I'll freak you out and I'll expand your consciousness whether you like it or not, right? So you have to realize that. Let's get back to what we were talking about before, where you sign a contract. Is Peter here? Say, hey, Peter. Hey, Dave. Welcome, guys. Bo was in here earlier. Yeah, there you go. Wow, look at that. Tap, 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 tap. Hit those taps. Thank you, Tanisha. Get those guys hitting those hearts. Peter and Dave, welcome. So yeah, Indigo Bo was trying to tag you guys earlier to get you guys to come in. So please do that, right? But so thank you for those of you who popped in. Okay, and like I said, hit those champions, hit those hearts for me. So you have to realize what we're doing here is, you sign this contract before you get here. You're volunteering for this. This is a school you volunteered for. But even if you had not, okay, third dimensional life is this: you would go to a third dimensional life in a third dimensional place, and you would be veiled just like everybody on this planet is. You're veiled, and the veiling is you're forgetting, you don't remember that you are the creator, a part of the creator, a fraction, an independent soul with an independent personality that is part of the creator that you have now separated away from, so that you could come down here and have this organic experience of life, death, and everything in between, and everything that there is, right? Um, okay, yeah, Brooks says stay alive and I'll moderate when I get home. I don't know what time it is. I don't even know what time it is, baby. How long until you're going to be home? Like 20 minutes, half hour? I'll be on here. So if I'll be on here until they boot me or until I get tired, baby. So I may still be on when you come home. If I am, then yeah, then you can moderate. So Peter, if you're here, and Dave, I don't know if I made you a moderator, but Peter, if you're here, please do moderate for me. And Dave, if you're here, wave at me so I know you are, and I'll make you a moderator as well, right? I love you too, baby. She posted that. She said, I love you, my Kelto. I'll see you when I get home. I love you too, baby. So I'll see you when you get home, all right? So yeah, before you leave, if you can find Peter and Dave, make sure they're both moderators, because I trust Dave. I like Dave. Dave knows Peter, and he's a good guy. Just from that 5 minutes I talked to him yesterday, or day before yesterday, make them moderator. But I know Peter's already a moderator, just so that I have somebody. If not, I'll have to make Tanisha a moderator, because I like Tanisha and I trust Tanisha. I don't think she'll kill me. I don't think she'll get me in trouble. So having moderators works, right? Because earlier, when a couple of those guys that were in here, they were just yelling, and I was like, guys, I don't want to have to block you. I don't want to have to kick your guys' butts out of here, right? And so I was hoping that they would calm down, right? Jeff, welcome. Yamster, welcome. Hey, buddy, how we doing, right? So hit those hearts for me, and ask me questions. That's what I'm here for. I've been answering questions for 2 hours and 10 minutes, right? Okay, or is this counting down? Is that counting down? That's counting down. So I think when that counts down, I don't even know how long I've been live. I don't. There's supposed to be a counter here, but I think I knocked it off the screen, so I don't even know how long. Oh, it's down here at the bottom. 1 hour and 36 minutes. That one up there is the countdown, because I'm supposed to do a certain amount of things in a certain amount of time, and so you guys got to hit that stuff. Peter, welcome. You are here. Okay. So yeah, so like I said, you guys, and there's Yamster, right? That's Dave, right? Isn't that Dave? I think that's Dave. So um, ask questions, get me going again, right? So you guys sign the contract. It's not a physical thing where you have a piece of paper, right? But it is a contract. Your word is your word. You designed this life. You came down here. You volunteered. This is a different school from the regular one. The regular one is 3D like this, right? But this one's a little harder. This one was upgraded a bit. It's a little bit harder, that everybody has to volunteer for. This was an idea that somebody came up with and talked to the creator, and the creator said that's not a bad idea. It was somebody that created it. And this is only the second time this kind of school that's gotten really stuck on purpose. This one's harder, so everybody's stuck, and then it got even stuck, whatever you want to say, more stuck, extra crispy, right? It got extra crispy, and that's a good thing. It was allowed to happen, but it got extra crispied for a while, and then some of us had to come down here to help restore the, the free will again, right? So then that became a new set of scenarios. This is even better, the creator said. I couldn't. It was like that moment when in like Excalibur, the movie from 1982, when Merlin was sitting there, and Arthur went and took the sword out of the stone, and he was only like 14 years old at the time. And he ends up going to defend the underground castle. That's where Guinevere's father's castle, and she's there, and he goes there, and all these robber knights were going there, fighting because, well, he said, the underground said, I will defend the king, because even if he's a boy, it doesn't matter. He drew the sword. He's going to be king, and now everybody's getting in a civil war. And Arthur shows up, and they're all fighting, and he knocks the Urians, the guy who's in charge of the bad guys, and off his horse, and he says, you need to bow to me because I'm the king. I drew the sword. And he said, what? Me, a knight, bow to a lowly squire? You're not even a knight. And Arthur says to him, he says, "You're absolutely right." And he has him in down and with his sword. He says, "You're absolutely right. You Urians will knight me." And he hands him the singing sword, hands him Excalibur, and Urian stands up and he's got the singing sword, and everyone's like, "Keep it, Urians, keep it." And he's holding on to it, and then and Arthur kneels down and he just starts like he's gonna, in the movie they did it like you don't know if he's gonna hack his head off, and then all of a sudden he just knights him. And then he kneels down and he says, "I couldn't believe." Well, while that was happening, Merlin turns and looks at him and goes, "What's this? I never saw that." Right? God kind of had that moment with this place. I never saw that, and because this place was already a college that is really hard, what you guys would think of as a college, a school, that it was already really hard because you had to volunteer to come here. Because so it's the hardest place in the Milky Way galaxy that you would graduate from. You get mind wiped again, and then you get ultra stuck, and then you're supposed to try and figure out what's going on. And evil was allowed to run its course. The devil shall rule for a time. Evil was allowed to have the equal opportunity to grab a hold of things, but then somebody inserted knowledge from the outside, and those people took control of the matrix and held everybody even more stuck. And God was like, "What's this? This is cool." And so God's watching, the creator of the universe is watching like we're a sports game on television, and really intrigued with the idea of what's happening here and having a good time with this new idea. So when things got stucker, got more crispy than, extra crispy, extra spicy and extra crispy, then God said, "Well, they cheated." So, and next thing you know, there are a group of us were sent down here to come in and equal out that cheating process. So some of us came down here and we've been nudging history back on course and nudging things back on course in spirituality around the world, fighting against the corruption of those people that did those things, that learned the evil part of the matrix, and were using that to their advantage to keep everybody even more crispy and more spicy than they were. So there's some of us that came here to do the undo what they did, but we couldn't let you know that because you didn't know that they did it. Because you didn't know that they did it, we couldn't let you know that we were doing anything until the time of the unveiling process was happening for the majority of the people on the planet. And there's a lot of you that think I'm crazy by me telling you these things even now. That's okay, because you are where you are in your development, and I'm not here to change that. I'm not here to be your savior. I'm not here to be that anything other than a guide. I'm here to answer your questions whenever you have them, to help you with that in any way, because that was taken from you. So now we get to do that. You see, people were already doing it, but they had to be cryptic about it. Right? I don't have to be cryptic about it anymore, even though I do still sound cryptic. I know I talk to my wife about it all the time, and I'm like, why did everybody sound so cryptic back in the past? Like Lao Tzu, when the story of Lao Tzu when he was having the guard open the gate because he was going out. Some say he was going out because there's like two different stories here. He was going out to die because it was his time, so he was going out of the city and he was going out to lay down and die somewhere. And other people say he was just going out to like leave the town or to go like to the store or something, which doesn't make much sense either. But it kind of does. And then the guard said, "You're a very wise man and a prophet or a oracle of sorts. Could you please give me your philosophy so that I might write it down?" And he gets like all cryptic, instead of telling him anything. Why did he get cryptic? Because at the time he couldn't tell him. You had to figure it out. That's why they did this stuff, so it would be there for longevity, because evil people were looking for this information to edit it, right? We were talking about it before, and then one guy got all mad because I said the wrong date by a few years, and then he said the wrong date, got mad at me and told me the date, and it was actually wrong, and then somebody came in to the group and went, "Dude, you're actually wrong. I just looked it up. You don't even know what you're talking about." And he was yelling at me because I got the date wrong. I'm like, "Bro, you're gonna fight over semantics? Is that what you're getting out of this? Instead of what actually happened, you're more concerned about the okay, so was it a Tuesday? Was that a Tuesday on in that year? And what month were we in? Was it nighttime or daytime when they did this? So what time period of the place they were at? Let's get it down to the very millisecond. And how do we know we're telling time properly? Because if we were telling time by them, I mean, that's kind of what we were going through. And I was like, bro, are you really serious? And then finally he was like, yeah, I guess that doesn't matter. No, it doesn't. You're freaking going to hold up the whole story because, and you were off by 2 years. Okay. I'm like, it doesn't matter. That's like saying, like, and that's where people were saying to me, there is no definitive proof of Jesus. And I was like, you do realize that doesn't matter, right? That doesn't matter at all, right? Freddie Roach, no, it wasn't Freddie Roach. That's hilarious. Is Freddie like that? I don't know, right? That's hilarious, bro. No, it wasn't Freddie Roach, but I'll keep an eye out for Freddie Roach because if Freddie Roach does that and starts worrying more about semantics than the actual meat of the story, because that's what's happening here. They distract you away from the meat of the story. If you're, you know, I'm a theologian. My brother's in theological college, and he's learning, and I have to, and I'm kind of trying to get him to get through the weeds, because what they do is they teach you to go chase religion and compare the religions, right? And all you're going to do then is do what everybody does. Well, I noticed that the story of the flood came from this Mesopotamian story, and the story of Marduk seems to be the kind of same sort of story as Jesus, and it's exactly the same story, and it's the same story in every single religion, including, and we talked about this before, including the origin story of, like, Tiamat gets killed and Marduk uses her head as the dome of the sky and uses her teeth and the ridges and, you know, as the mountains, and her blood is the water. And the Vikings have the same story, but it's not Tiamat. It's a frost giant. The Japanese have the same story. It's not Tiamat or a frost giant, but it is a giant. And the giant was sleeping and snoring. In fact, you know, cows came out of his nipple or something, and weird, right? And but you know, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. But they're all the origin of how we got the sky and the mountains and the blood and the tree, and the story is almost identical. So you can have a war over the semantics over which one of those religions is the real story. And then, or you could compare them and say, well, they have these similarities, but they don't have that, and they don't have this, and we better find out who was older. And that's what they do. They distract you to get you chasing your tail by trying to find out who has the oldest scroll that has the most in there. And what you don't do ever is you don't go, what were they all saying that's identical? What were they all saying? How much of all of those religions are the same? Who cares who created it when it was there? If you assume they all borrowed it from one another, then you have to look for the origin god or alien Anunnaki or whatever, and you'll spend the rest of your life waiting to do that, because every time you find one scroll, eventually you find out that that was based on another one from someone else, and now you got to run over to that culture and you got to look through their shit until you find something, and then you go, oh, there's all this other stuff from these other cultures, and then you got to do that, and you'll spend the rest of your existence doing that. Why? Because they're all going to have the same story. You know why? Because it's the way you get off this rock, and it's an information that every single one of you can unlock without reading any of those scriptures. Without reading any of those scriptures. I apologize. I have the windows open, and right across the street is the train that just went by. And you probably heard that horn. That was a train horn as it went boom, heading to the train station down there. So literally, what it is that's similar in all of those religions is in fact the knowledge that you need to get out of here. That every single one of those people, every single one of those oracles, those gurus, those Sufis, whatever you want to call them, those rabbis, those teachers, those magi, those learned ones, right? Jack Emma says, "My train, right? My train, is that my train?" Right? That's funny, brother. So, but what they're all telling you, Lao Tzu told you in that cryptic message. The Buddha told you in the cryptic message. Jesus told you in the cryptic message. Marduk told you, or the Enuma Elish told you in that cryptic message. The story of Thor, the story of Odin, all these people in history, Zeus, Apollo, all of those stories that you see are told slightly different, but they're all the same meat. There is a creator of the universe, and then there is this son of the creator that came down to earth like 27 times now, right? came down to earth and had a different name and a different culture, but basically did the same thing, walked on water, turned water to wine, drove out evil spirits, made the blind see, healed the sick, brought people back from the dead, ascended, died for the people and ascended into heaven. So what is that about? That's the question that everybody should be asking. What's that about? See that book right there behind me? That book is called The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways. And that book is telling about that. There's other books out there that are telling about that. There are other people like myself who are theologians, saw the similarities in all of these religions and said, that's the meat. Carl Jung talked about it. Okay. Joseph Campbell talked about it. Right? Eckhart Tolle talked about it. Lao Tzu, the Tao Te Ching, the Tao talks about it. Okay. Jesus in that religion. All these people talk about it. And that is the Christos. That is this oil that is in your body, that secretes in your body and does all the same things that they did. They all died at the age of 33. They all walked on water. They all, same thing. That oil is the land of milk and honey, and it goes down, it's secreted from your body. One is electromagnetic, one's magnetic, one's electricity. One is milk like substance, and the other's a honey like substance, and it goes down your spinal column through the Ingala and the Pingala nervous system, and it goes down your body to the vertebrae at the bottom of your body, the 5 fused vertebrae that back in the ancient time was called Bethlehem, the bread basket, the place of bread, the joining place. And it literally, all those words that are the Christ and all of those words that you is literally within you. All those words that Osiris did, or the things that Thor did, the things that Marduk did, all of those things were identical. Somebody goes down from Santa Claus going through the claustrum. It's the chimney in your head, the claustrum. Literally, the claws, the Santa Claus, the claustrum, literally is a term that was used by the Vikings that meant the hole in the grommet hole in a sail that you would tie in, or it meant the hole in the roof. It meant the chimney. Okay, so the claustrum is in your brain, and it's like a chimney that goes up to your hippocampus, your third eye. Okay, the optic thalamus. Okay, it's the claustrum, and then it's Santa Claus is the Kundalini energy going down, and the Kundalini fire going down and up your chimney, and coming down and leaving gifts, and then going up the chimney, and then doing what? Illumination. It's the same story. Santa Claus is the same story as the Christ, as the Marduk, as the Thor, as the Moses. He did the same thing. Moses was cast out, and he went and he died, and he surrendered himself to God, and he laid down to die, but God resurrected him, and he came up, and then God charged him to go and get my people and get him out of bondage, and then the evil chased him, and he had to he had to fight the serpent, which was Ramses II. It was the same storyline. It was the same storyline, just told in a different way. Originally, there was 7 plagues of Israel and of Moses from God, 7 plagues, and then eventually the Israelis added 3 more to make it 10, right? But originally there was 7, the 7 chakras, right? Look at the letters to the churches. John at Patmos, he writes the letters to the churches. The letters to the churches are a message from Jesus as he was channeling from God, and he was saying, these are the things that you need to do. And he's talking to the churches. There are 7 churches, there are 7 chakras. And the 7 chakras, if you do it at each church, what God says to that church, and see that church as the chakra itself, starting with the red ray root chakra and moving up. The first church, the second church, the third church, there's 7 of them. Look at the Egyptian Book of the Dead. There are 7 gates that you need to go by to get into heaven. And you need to know the name of the guardian of the gate, the secret and the riddle to the guardian of the gate. And the guardian of the gate opens the gate, and you sail to the next gate. That's balancing a chakra, knowing the name of the chakra, what it means, and you're balancing it, and you move up. That's how you get to heaven. You look at the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. The first 7 tablets are how to unveil yourself and go to heaven. And there are descriptions of gods that rule the things that rule our body. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or there are actually 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And that is 3, 6, 9, the red ray root chakra, the heart chakra, and the crown chakra, 3, 6, and 9. And they don't want that being told to the world, because if that realigns your thinking from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, realizing the mathematical equations, the Fibonacci sequence, and the golden mean ratio, and all of these scientists talking about 3, 6, and 9, and Pythagoras, all the way down to Einstein and Nikola Tesla, talking about 3, 6, and 9, and what does that have to do with the universe? If you realize that that is the balancing of the chakras, 3, 6, and 9, that coincides with the Fibonacci sequence and the golden mean ratio, that spiral, you're going to flip your mind, and you're going to realize and be activated by the idea that all of this lines up with the Higgs boson. The Higgs boson is 9. Jesus or Moses, when he's talking to God on the mountain, he says, "Who shall I say sent me?" And he says, I am that I am. He says, "I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the beginning and the end." That is 9 and 0. The 9 energy is what keeps the entire package of the universe in order and doesn't allow it to spin off into chaos. 3 spins one way, 9 spins another way, and both of them meet at a central point that is controlled by the 9 energy, which is nothing, 0 point, and everything. So literally, God was telling Moses, "I am, not I think, therefore I am. I am, therefore I think." You're supposed to expand your consciousness to that. And that is in every religion on the face of the earth. Every religion in the face of history. It's the same story of the same crash, descent into hell and resurrection. Like Carl Jung said, the dark night of the soul, and your descent into your lowest place, whether you're religious or not, whether you're spiritual or not. You're going to go on that hero journey to save your own soul. And you're going to then start to realize that there's got to be something more than this. And you're going to move on a different way. And you're going to stand up in a different way and say that I am a survivor. I am not a victim of this place. And I am going to decide my own fate. And you start thinking for yourself and asking questions. When you start thinking for yourself and you start asking questions, you start breaking that conditioning. That's that veiling. Fenrir the wolf in the Viking sagas. Fenrir the wolf, the veil of darkness. The devil wrapping his fingers around the world, ruling for a time. Beginning, middle, end. There's an end time. That means Fenrir has to be scared away. That's Ragnarok. Ragnarok means time of tribulation, time of trouble. That is literally the Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga means time of trouble or time of tribulation. Revelation means what? People think it means time of trouble, the end of a world. Revelation means illumination. So do those other words, by the way. They don't mean end times, they mean revelation. They mean that literally that's the time when you're supposed to be illuminated. You're supposed to illuminate yourself. So it doesn't mean that you have to wait here and God's going to come back in a Volkswagen bus and pick you guys up with some big dude with a big beard and a big gown with a book, boom, and your name has to be in it, or you have to go to this other place that they call Hades, hell, whatever you call it. That's just not the way that it works. There's no judgment day where you're going to be judged and before God, and God just sits around all day and judges the trillions and trillions of souls. You know how boring that would be if you were God and your job was just, now I got to sit around and I have to judge all these people as they come up here. Guilty, not guilty. That's the Santa Claus, right? Well, you know what? Good, bad. He's on the bad list. He's on the good list. He's on. So that's the story that was told to you about Santa Claus in the same way. Be good for goodness sake, right? Because he's making a list. He's checking it twice. He's going to find out who's naughty and nice. Naughty side, nice side. Naughty side, service to self. Nice side, service to others. Naughty side, evil. Service to others. Good side, nice side, good side. So that's the choices that we make here. Those are the things that we're supposed to be doing here. There's not going to be any judgment by God. You're going to judge yourself. At some point, you will judge yourself. You will decide that your life is crap because you made it that way, and you'll admit it. You'll stop being subjective. You'll become objective with your reality, and you'll go, I am not perfect, and I screwed up, and I'm making bad decisions in my life, and that's where I got to this shit place. Or you're going to realize those things at some point and go, I don't want to be where that person is or that person was, or I don't want to be like that, so I'm not going to make those decisions, and I'm going to make better decisions, and I'm not going to be there. Something will happen to you that will be in between those crazy concepts of evil drug addict, alcoholic, mean person taking over the world, and the Pope in Rome, if the Pope is in your mind considered the holiest of holies. And if not, it doesn't really matter. That's just my using that as a vernacular, as an example, right? Adolf Hitler or the devil or God. So literally, at some point, you're going to realize that about yourself. You're going to look around, no matter what you think about religion, no matter what you think about spirituality, none of that matters at all. What matters is that you're on your path and that you continue on your path. Okay, that's what matters. The only thing that matters is that you keep moving forward and you keep asking questions and you keep being yourself and you keep learning, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to have experiences. We're here to learn. Okay. So if you guys have questions, please ask them so that I don't have to just keep talking. I'll answer any question that you have. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking and being like a preacher, because I am a minister, and I'll just preach. But you guys have questions, please type it in the chat. Hit those hearts for me so that I can get those likes up so that I can unlock whatever it is I need to unlock from TikTok, right? So if you're here and you have questions, please type it in the chat and I'll take the time to actually give you more details and answer whatever you want me to answer. Because that's how we learn. We learn by asking questions. We learn by saying, what do you know? What do you know that I don't know? I don't know. Let's find out what you know so we can find out if I know anything that you don't know. And in the meantime, how about we find out if you know something I don't know, so that I can learn at the same time that you can learn, right? So welcome for popping in. If you guys pop in, please hit those, give me some hearts, hit those hearts, and follow me, follow me, and hit the button so that you know when I go live so that you can come in here. We're talking about spirituality. I'm talking about spirituality. If you guys have questions, just type it in the chat and I will answer your questions. Otherwise, I'll just keep telling you guys what's going on, right? So here's a question. Okay, so how do I get off the wrong path? I feel like I'm going in the wrong way. There you go. That is a really good question, because you feel like you're going the wrong way. So you've sensed something about you that says, "Man, I'm not on the right path. How do I fix this?" Right? Okay, that's good. That's the first step. The first step in avoiding a trap is knowing of its existence, right? You're like, "My life is shit. I feel like I'm going down the wrong road and it could probably get worse." Okay, so you're already getting off the wrong path now. The fact that you're questioning it, the fact that you're seeing it, you're realizing this part of what I'm doing is the trap. I need to stop. How you get off of that is just keep doing what you're doing. Okay, Melissa, howdy, right? So yeah, the way off of your path, you're on the wrong path. Just find out, identify. This is what you have to do. Okay, that identify what is it about my life. So you have to become, remember what I just said, that you have to become objective, not subjective. When we're just living life and we're carefree and we're just doing things and I'm perfect, I'm fine, I'm okay, that's being subjective, right? And woohoo, love that. Thank you, whoever did that. I love that. Cowboy hat and mustache. Anyway, let's keep going. That was a good one. The only way it would have been better if I'd had a lasso. Okay. So what you do is you identify those things. You become objective. You see yourself the way other people see you instead of how you see yourself. You admit to yourself, I'm not perfect. When none of us are. I don't know everything. If I did, I'm lying to myself, because you can't. So the only thing that you can do when you learn more is to realize that the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know anything. Socrates said that like 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, and it's true today. So identify what is it that I'm doing that's wrong in my life. Be honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, you're going to make the same mistakes, because you're the problem. The common denominator is always, we always like to look at everybody else. Society made me this way. My parents made me this way. You're the problem if you believe that, right? Yeah, you had shit happen to you. We all have bad things happen to us. We do. I'm not trying to say that the bad things that happen to anybody who's hearing my voice are less bad than anything that happened to me, or even equal to what I have gone through, right? Because you went through it. It's yours, and it's the things that happened to you. So you say to yourself, what is it that I'm doing that I'm failing me? How am I failing myself, brother? That's what you have to do, okay? So you have to actually say, I feel like I'm on the wrong path. What do I need to do to get on the right path? You'll know, there are certain ways to know when you're actually on the right path. When you make changes to your life and you start feeling better about yourself, which you will, if you eat right, you get sleep, meditate, pray, whatever you do, whatever you figure that out. If you don't have to do that stuff at all, you don't have to go to a church, you don't have to have spirituality. I'm a minister, but so I would, eventually probably try to focus you in that direction, because I am a minister, but I wouldn't sell you a religion. I would tell you to look at all philosophical and spiritual ideology if you want one at all. If not, just keep doing what you're doing. Just change the things that you don't like about yourself, the things that are holding you back. What's holding me back? You have to. This is what we tell people to journal when I'm coaching people in a life coaching or a spiritual life coaching manner. My wife included. We would tell you. I don't have it here, but there's a vision board over there. We tell you to write down all the pros and cons about yourself. Literally write it down. What do I like about myself? What do I dislike about myself? And then write them down and then decide which ones of those you want to change about yourself. I smoke too much. Okay. I want to quit smoking. I drink too much. Okay. I do drugs and I don't want to do it. Right. I'm mean all the time. But I'm caring and I'm loving and I'd like to help people. And I write those things down. Do you see? And then look at the ones that you want to change and change those. And then give yourself time. This is what we do when we'll do that. We'd literally, no, Brooke's not here right now. She's at work, but she will be here. She was here earlier because she was on a break. She's going to be getting off work in about, I think, 20 minutes. I think she's getting off at 5:30. And it's right now it's 5:03 right now. It's 10 p.m. on the in the west coast of the United States, right? So that's like one o'clock if you're over there in New York. But yeah, she went to work at 8:30. So what is that? 8:30 to 5:30, right? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5:30. It's 9 hours with 1 hour break, 8 hours on. So she'll be getting off work in about 20 minutes. She said she's going to hop on and because she was moderating when she was on her break. So she'll be here if you want to hang out. She'll be here and you can say hello. You can say hi. But yeah, when she gets off work, she'll be in here. Okay, so let me get back to Fanboy. So write those things down about yourself and be objective, be honest with yourself. Okay. And when you're honest with yourself, that's the first step of knowing that there's a trap is you have to be honest with yourself. I'm the trap. I'm the one who thinks that I'm perfect. I'm the one that thinks I know everything, or I'm the one that thinks everything's okay. You have to tell yourself, no, no, I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. I'm not okay. What is it that I think I'm on the wrong path? What do I need to change to myself to become on the right path? When you start making changes, even then you got to go, well, okay, am I on the right path? Right? Because it changes is hard, change is scary, and change makes us uncomfortable. That's why it's that way. So start making better choices, what you eat, what you do, when you sleep, and get, even if there's people you need to stop hanging out with, whatever you need to do, change those things about yourself and take baby steps. You can't change everything at once because you'll freak yourself out and you'll go back. Like if you try to quit smoking cigarettes cold turkey, you're going to freak out, man. Same thing with drugs or alcohol. You're going to freak out because your body's addicted to it. You're psychologically and physically addicted to it. We get psychologically and physically addicted to everything around us, even salt and sugar and the routines. Change your routine slightly and start finding what feels good for you. And when you find things that feel good for you, then move in that way. You'll find that in a spiritual sense, right? Thank you. Right? Yeah, come back in about half hour. She'll be here. And then, like I said, she'll be moderating on her way home. And when she gets here, she told me that. She said, stay live and I'll moderate when I get off work. Yes. Yeah. Jackie said objective. I thought, yeah, objective. Yes. So because if you're subjective, you're a subject to yourself. You're a slave to these things. So being objective is being realistic, being honest. That's objectivity. You could look up that word. Is being objective. So you're honest with yourself, and you say, I'm not perfect, and I have to change some things. And you do those, write them down, and we usually tell you to journal what you think and where you are today, but also the things that you want to change. We show you to baby steps and change things a little bit at a time so your body gets used to it, because routine that you have to break. So you have to change your routine slightly. It's like if there's a ship that's sailing on the ocean, you couldn't just move that ship. You couldn't just move that ship unless you were standing on a dock where you could try and push it, but the ship's too heavy. But you can change the course of that ship just so slightly, and over time, that course changes. That little teeny change of the course gets really big as time goes. Do you see? So you make small changes and then change your routine and change your habits. And once you do that and you make the new normal you, the new routine and the new habit, then those will stick. Some will fall away, and you got to try to stay and guard yourself and pull yourself back. And you'll know that you're on the right path because you will eventually start getting like deja vu's a lot. When you start getting deja vu's, that's when you're going, wow, I've already, I don't know if you know what a deja vu is, right? But you go, wow, okay. I have memory of this happening. That's bizarre. That's weird. However, I have memory of something that hasn't happened yet, but I'm having total deja vu. I've already seen this happening. Those are your higher self and this matrix showing you that you're expanding your consciousness and that you're on your right path, letting you know that you're actually in the place that you were drawing for yourself to be. And you move back and forth on that, off the path, on the path, off the path, because everything's always happening to us. This place is trying to distract us. Evil people are trying to distract us with everything on the internet itself, the television, and everything, all the social media everywhere is a distraction. Our jobs, our life is a distraction. You have to find a balance of this is what I do and this is who I am. You see, I am not this life. I am not what I do for a living. That's what I do for a living. Who I am is not that job. Once you start to move into the I am ideology of yourself, instead of I do, you start saying I am. That's when things will start changing for you, and you'll see that your life will start really rearranging itself a lot, right? So that's kind of cool when that happens, but it's still a pain in the butt sometimes. So that was I think it's Senos. Is that how you say that? Senos? Who gave me the cowboy hat? That was cool. Thank you for that. That was hilarious. So yeah, just like I said, just let me know if you guys have any more questions and just type them in the chat. So literally, there will be signs that if you're then making changes in your life and you're on the right path, you'll start getting that. You'll feel better about your life just by making those changes. Once you start realizing that nobody's perfect, nobody knows everything, nobody's ever done, right? Anybody that says I know all of everything because I'm awake, I am not veiled, and I will tell you that I don't know everything. Okay, I would tell you I am unveiled, and I know how many lifetimes I've had on this earth, and I know exactly who I was in every one of those lifetimes. I have all those memories that I can attach and climb into, and I can channel those people. I can tell you everything about them. I can tell you everything they've done. I can tell you everywhere that they've been. And I can tell you how the universe works. I can tell you almost everything. Some things I can't tell you because we're live on air. And for me to tell those things, I can only tell what's the average for the entire world because I'm broadcasting on a platform that will go out to the world. So because of that, I can give the average of what everybody here is ready for. But like on an individual basis, I can tell you more about yourself and what's going on. But I can only tell you what you're also ready for. That kind of is freaky to some people. But I don't know anything. Okay, that's the crazy part. I'll be talking and they'll be like, "You're just a know-it-all. You think you know everything." No, I would use what Socrates said, who was also very awake thousands of years ago. I know just enough to know that I don't know anything. There is so much more in the universe to know than we can ever fathom at this level. You have no idea. It's just scary. And then people go, then why should I even learn? Because it's actually really beautiful and it's really fun. It's really beautiful in a way that I can't even describe to you. Bliss is the closest word. Love, bliss, those don't even do it justice. So there's just so much. I have a couple of friends that if they were here, they would start crying just trying to tell it to you. It's very emotional, right? So I don't know. I can only know what I can know down here, and I can only know what I can know halfway through the sixth density. I can't be down here to know anything above that because to be down here, there is still some veiling because things are illegal. There's certain things that if I tried to tell you, they would stop me from telling you. I wouldn't be able to say them. And I've had that happen to me before live. A lot of people have. So literally, if I try to say something that is like breaks the law of free will, because there are certain laws that govern that the creator made for this place and all places so that everybody could have an organic experience. People are like, laws are third dimensional constructs. What are you talking about? God would never do that. God gave us total free will. I just had this conversation with my wife last night. think it was last night. God did give everybody total free will. Okay. But there are certain laws to govern that so that you have free will. Okay. You can't know anything that you're not supposed to know before you're supposed to know it, even if I know it. If you, an individual out there, has decided that there's a certain thing that you want to learn on your own organically in this life, I can't talk about it to you because your higher self, you, who you actually are, trying to learn that lesson. So I can't give you that answer because you're supposed to organically learn that lesson. And that's the thing that people go, that's a cop out. That means you can do that about anything. You're right. That is a cop out in your mind. And I could do that about anything in your mind, but it's just not true. There's just laws that you have decided that. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to make stuff up, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm in service to others. I'm not in service to self. If I was in service to self, I'd be charging you all $1,000 to hear me say this. Honestly. Okay. I'd be charging a lot of money for this knowledge, but that's not what I'm here to do. Right? There's going to be a time when I am charging for some of this stuff because I got to eat too because we're in a place of doing. Right? See this place? It's not free. Okay. See this internet? It's not free. This is the place of doing. This is the third dimension. We all need Skrilla, as we would say in America, although I'm not in America. But we need money, right? Because the evil people have taken control of this place and they charge for everything. Charging us to breathe, man. They're charging us to think. They're trying to charge us to think, right? So because of that, we got to eat too. I got to eat. You got to eat. We all got to eat. So we all have to do something. We either grow the food ourselves, make the food ourselves, or we pay someone else to do it for us. Work. There's something that you have to do. This is the place of doing. That's why that's why the sun's rays are yellow. That's why that sun appears to us to be yellow, because it's the yellow ray, sun, ray, yellow ray, place of doing. Yellow chakra, third dimension, third chakra. We're the third planet from the third chakra. 3, doing. 3D, third dimension. But what you need to know is that there's another D that's involved in that third dimension. There is the dimensionality. This is physical. This is dimensionality, what you're seeing here. What you're not seeing is the person who's speaking to you, that is the experience or controlling this avatar, is in a different place. And that place is in a density. Okay? That place is in a density. That's the other D that they don't want you to know about. That's like Kundalini. You hear the word Kundalini. And everyone says Kundalini. Kundalini is actually the masculine fire energy. There is another energy that is the Kunda buffer, which is the feminine energy. You ever see the Kundalini? There's two, right? Two energies. Celtic knotwork, Viking knotwork. Two energies, masculine, feminine, intertwined. Kundalini fire is always two. One is masculine and one is feminine. Okay? Feminine energy is the Kunda buffer. That is the feminine energy. Okay? Hit those hearts for me. Thank you. Sorry, I had to get something to drink. I've been talking a long time without anything to drink, and I have to change positions here and sit up. There we go. My legs were hurting from sitting there. Okay, so people don't realize that most of this information has been edited out. So even in that genre of spirituality, they say Kundalini. But if you're learning that, they teach you that there's a masculine and feminine energy. But if you don't know it on the surface and you just hear it, you hear Kundalini, people think that that's just one energy. It is, but it's masculine. So they will allow you to hear about the masculine because they don't want you to know about the feminine. They don't want you balancing that because the masculine energy is more warlike, more aggressive, and that's a lower vibration because that's the lower 3 chakras. Okay. I don't know if you know what the chakras are. Those are energy centers that are in the body that make up the hierarchy of the archetypes, the personality traits that we have. Okay. The lower 3 chakras are the base chakras: red ray, root, right? The orange ray, solar plexus, sacral, and then you have the sacral, and then solar plexus, which is the yellow ray. Then it goes into the heart chakra, which is the green chakra, the heart chakra. Then you move up from there to the indigo, right? The voice chakra, and then you have the violet, and then you have there's like the indigo, and then there's 2 purples, the dark purple and the light purple. Crown chakra, the third eye chakra. So you have the violet and then the other way around, the purple and then the violet, or some people even show the crown chakra as white these days. right? But that's the actual chakra that's above the crown chakra that you guys don't know a name for it yet. Because there's actually, because the chakras are wrong. Everybody says the red ray root chakra is number one. It's not, it's number three. There's two more below that. That means there's two outside of your head, okay? So instead of having seven, you have two below that and another one up there. So you have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's actually 12. 12, one being your body. People don't realize that that's an actual chakra. Everything that bends is a chakra, by the way. There's a chakra, a little chakra in everything that bends in your body, everything, your wrist, your knuckles, your finger knuckles, your elbows, your shoulders, your vertebrae, 33 vertebrae in your spine. 33, there's that number. Jesus dies at 33. So did everybody else that was crucified. Thor was 33 years of age when he ascended, when he came down to earth and ascended back to Valhalla. He was 33. So was Marduk at the time. So everybody was 33 when they did the ascension, right? Thank you for hitting those hearts. Keep slamming those hearts for me so I can get those numbers up so I can appease the gods of TikTok. And then they open up and expand the other stuff that I need to be able to play around on TikTok and talk to you guys. So you have to realize that those numbers mean things and those words mean things. Kundalini, Kundabuffer, two energies, not one. Masculine, feminine, balance. It doesn't mean that if you balance the feminine energy and you're a man, you're going to become gay. It doesn't mean if you balance the masculine energy and you're a woman, you're going to become a man. You're going to become gay. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean you're going to become androgynous. It has nothing to do with sexuality at all. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with whether you're in service to self or in service to others, whether you're evil in service to self or good in service to others. It's a balance of aggression and love, right? It's a balance of war and peace. That's the balance. So you have both of those aspects in your life. You're supposed to have the balance of those aspects. I can go to war if I have to, but I can also be at peace if I have to. You have both of those within you. You become one. How do you become one? You're balancing the energies of the light and or the other way around, the light and the darkness. The darkness, the yin and the yang, that is the yin and the yang. The yin and the yang is the Vesica Pisces, right? Vesica Pisces is that circle with a dot in the center that you turn that from the side this way like that, and actually you'll see that it's a torus, okay? And then so it's a double, so it's a triple toroidal field. It's a triple torus. So you have a circle there, you have a circle there, and then you have that circle in the center where they both share. So the white is in the dark is in the light. That is the heart chakra, okay? Because love is the center point, right? So love both good and evil people both love. Good people love others and their self. Evil people only love themselves, but they both love. So the heart chakra is the controlling chakra. That's the 0 point. Okay. So the lower three chakras in your body are the physical plane, this physical place. Red ray root, second chakra, the orange chakra is nature. That's the part of nature that nature notices and their instinct, your instinct. If you're in tune with nature, you have instincts, the gut feeling, all of that. That's the thinking mind of that body that's in the physical. And then the red ray root is the place of doing. It's this consciousness in third dimension. Okay. That's the consciousness of third dimension. Your heart chakra is where you love from. That's where creation is. That's where the 0 point is. That's where the God is. Everything and nothing. The everything and nothing is in the heart. Okay, that's the 0 point. That's where they cross over on the yin and the yang. That's where the Vesica Pisces crosses over. The 0 point that they talk about in like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. The way to Elysium is through the center, through the 0 point, through the center. 3, 6, and 9. The 9 is everything and nothing. You heard Moses asking God, and God said, I am the Alpha and the Omega. Alpha, masculine, Omega, feminine. Alpha, right? Alpha and Omega, everything and nothing. Nothing is 0, everything is 9, right? So we know that in mathematics, 3, 6, and 9 is that the 3 energy is the physical plane energy. The 6 is the spiritual plane, upper 3 chakras. The 9 is the one ring to control them all, not the Higgs boson, the God energy that is nothing and everything. Okay, so that is within you. It's within everything. It is literally in everything. So we, you, me, everybody, we are that. We are all one and the same, but we are all different because we are individuals and we have our own individual experiences. But we're all part of nature because nature is in us. because we are in nature, as within, so without, as above, so below. Do you see? I am not in the universe is in me. I am not in nature, nature is in me, but I am in nature, and nature is in me, and I am in the universe, and the universe is in me. Okay, I know that sounds crazy, and some of you might just go, I don't know what he's talking about, he's nuts, and you just scroll away. You're not ready for that. Okay, but those people who really are ready for that, you'll creator, yes, right, Nadine, yes, you're understanding that creator. We are the creators. We're the co-creator. You, me, and all this place is God. We are the creation. We are not part of the creation. We are the creation. We are not. We are not this place. I am not this thinking mind. I am not this pain body, this flesh body. I am something else. And that something else, I am something else. You are something else. And that something else is a co-creator of this place. We are creating this place moment by moment, nanosecond by nanosecond, because we are collectively all the creator of the universe. We are just a fracture of that creator of the universe, veiling ourselves, pretending that we are an individual so that we can have this organic experience, because we are forever. We never die. We never know what it means to be alive or dead. So we want to know what it means to be that way. So how do we can know? Well, if we know we're God and we're sitting here and I know that I'm God, I'm going to go, well, if I'm not motivated and I'm some stoner guy from the United States, surfer dude, I'm going to go, yeah, man, you're God. I'm God. We're all God, bro. Hand can, we'll get there. Right? Whatever. Don't have to be in a hurry, dude, because we're God. Let's go surf, man. Right? So God is like, I'm kind of lazy. I need a boogeyman. I need something to chase those guys around so they move a little faster. Put some motivation under our butt. So God created evil, and evil is now going and coming after us, whether we're doing anything or not. You can sit still, and evil will find you and come after you. Right? Somewhere, you go to your job, one of them's evil. You go to school, one of them's evil. You look online, one of them's evil. They're everywhere, and they find us, and then they go after us, and they're boogeyman, right? That's what they're here for. It's their job. They all have a purpose. We all have a purpose. So the boogeyman, in nature, there is no boogeyman, because nature itself is boogeyman. That's the number of the beast, right? Out of the Bible, people don't know that because they translated that wrong. Right? The whole thing is translated wrong. Nature is the beast. We are part of nature. We are the beast. This third dimensional plane is the beast. Right? And if you look at the translation in the Bible, and before you guys think I'm just some crazy guy, look at my bio. I am a minister of 4 religions and a theologian. This is what I do for a living. I don't get paid for it right now because I just left my home country of America and came to Australia because I got married to Brooke, who will be in the audience in about 20 minutes when she gets off work. So I'm over here, and so I don't, and I don't teach a denominational religion. I teach non-denominational spirituality. Hence my book that's sitting on the counter right there, "The Reality About Reality: Returning to the Old Ways." You guys should buy that. That book will explain some of what I'm explaining now to you. So literally, where was I? I got lost there for a second. The creator, right? We were talking about that. So literally, the creator said, I need the boogeyman. So the boogeyman's chasing us around. But the veiling also happened at that point. So we don't know we're God. You don't know you're God. I don't know I'm God. Well, actually, I do know I'm God because I'm awake. But there's some of us that are awake that came here to help you. I have no veiling. I'm awake, and I'm talking to you as my higher self. This is not Leonard O'Neill talking to you. This is Kelto. Kelto is who I am. Okay, that is my real name. Leonard O'Neill is the flesh body that has an identification and a birth certificate that was born here in this place, and I was inserted into this body when it was in the womb in my mother. I remember doing it, by the way, because I am unveiled. I remember sitting there in the body talking to my mom and telling her she needed to eat this kind of food and she needed to read all this stuff so that I could gain knowledge, because I was bored for 9 months sitting there. Mom, I need you to read space stuff. I need you to read about NASA. I need to read about the mathematics. I need mathematics. I need Copernicus. I need something. And so she was philosophy. Get into Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche. Remember that name? Not even kidding you. Mom's reading that stuff. I know some of you might think I'm crazy. It's okay if you think I'm crazy. I'm not here to prove that I'm not crazy to you. I'm just here to make you start thinking for yourself, right? There was a man, Socrates, again, I'm going to quote Socrates way back in the day, 5,000 years ago. He said, I can't make anybody believe anything. I can't make you believe anything. The only thing I can do is hope to get you to start thinking for yourself. That is what I'm here to do. Help you to get you to start thinking for yourself, expand your consciousness, and start asking questions. Because once you start doing that, the first step in avoiding a trap is knowing of its existence. You're in a trap that you volunteered for. We're all just prisoners here of our own device. That came from a band in the 1970s, right? So we're talking, what is that, 50 years ago? There was a band in the 1970s called the Eagles in America, and they wrote a song called Hotel California. And 20 years later or 30 years later, there was another band called Red Hot Chili Peppers. They wrote another song called Californication. You should listen to those songs. Those songs were about being stuck. There was another guy in the 1960s. What was his name? I can't think of his name right now. I knew it just a second ago and I just lost it. He wrote a song called "All Along the Watchtower," which Lenny Kravitz has made famous again in about 20 years ago or 10 years ago, right? And that song is about being stuck in this place. In fact, that song, "The Joker to the Thief," that song is about the two men that were on the cross with Jesus. By the way, there's like a more bigger duality to that song that was written. The U2 covered it in the 1990s when they did their album. They did it, and then Lenny Kravitz covered it again. And those songs were about being stuck here, right? So we're all just prisoners here of our own device. They were singing to you, telling you that you can check in, but you can't check out because this place is a prison that you volunteered to be in until you figure out how to get out of here. And it's written in all the literature. It's written everywhere. Look at the Matrix movies. The very first Matrix movie is telling you that this place is a trap of the mind and you have to figure out how to get out of here. You take one pill or the other, and one wakes you up or the other one puts you back to sleep. That was the writer of that movie trying to explain to you that you are in a school that you volunteered for. You just don't know it because you've been mind wiped. You have the veiling, you don't remember, you have the forgetting. That's one of the laws. And that's that you came down here to have an organic experience of this place and then to learn what you need to learn and experience what you need to experience so that you can then wake yourself up at some point in one of your lives. You wake yourself up and go, oh, wow, that was really cool. That was fun. Okay, I can leave now. And then when you're ready, you then die in that life, however you choose to. It's at one point back in the history of this planet, people would die when they would say, I'm tired and it's time for me to go and get their family ready. Everybody get ready. I'm going to go out and die. I'm going to walk away, or I'm just going to die in bed, but it's time for me to go and I'm going to go. And everybody's like, no, wait, no, it's not time, grandma, grandpa, whatever, uncle, daddy, it's not time for you to go. Yeah, I'm sorry, it is time for me to go. And some of you have heard stories about family members or friends of family members, right? It's time for you to go. It's time for me to go, my friend. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Hopefully you followed me, right? And your name's like really long too. What is that name, right? Kenya something or other. And I just hope you followed me. Hit follow me when I go live. Send me messages if you have questions. I love you. Thank you for stopping by and listening to a conversation. If you want to hear more, watch my podcast or listen to it or tune in when I'm live or text me, message me, and we can talk and I can answer any of your questions. Thank you for coming in. Okay, so literally, you have to realize that all of that is what's going on, and we were veiled. We volunteered for this. It happens if you went through this for the very first time. When you went through this for the very first time, this is what happens anyways. Okay. The way the progression works is you fracture off from the creator. The creator, you can see it as the creator created you, however you want to see that, right? Whether you created yourself or whether you were created by the creator. I'm stepping on my cord here. I'm getting notifications. I don't know if that was my wife saying she's on her way home or if that was somebody messaging me from online just now. No, it was my wife. And she says, I'm going to grab some cheese, food on the way, Chinese food on the way. Oh, nice. And I'll be home. I feel like noodles. Okay, cool. Sorry, guys. This is my wife. She feels like noodles, so she's going to get some noodles and come home. Okay, so literally you were created. Either you were created because God created you or you created yourself. However you want to see that. Doesn't matter. Your soul, your immortal soul was created. Okay, and then you went down and you became something. Okay, so let's say you went through the whole thing the way that you were supposed to go through the whole process. That means you went down to a planet that sustained first dimensional life form at the very least. usually first and second, and most of the time, not always, but most of the time, first, second, and third are on the same planet. Sometimes it goes first, second, and the third. Like here is not supposed to be here anymore. This 3D is not supposed to be here. Only 4D, so it's supposed to be 1, 2, 4, because the 1 and 2 services the fourth dimension the same way it services the third dimension. There's a atmosphere and trees and plants and animals and things that we eat and all of that, right? And then above. So people who are in third dimension, first, second, third, fourth dimension need first and second dimension to survive in, because that is nature and the planet and that sort of stuff. It might be too complicated, but that's the progression of that. Okay. So once you become one of those things, you become a rock or an air or amoeba or water or molecule, whatever, one dimensional being. After a time, you will graduate from that one dimensional being to a second dimensional being, two dimensional being, a tree, a plant, something that moves and grows, a cat, a dog, a bird, a fish, some sort of animal, snake, whatever, something that moves in second dimension. And in there, you learn the lessons that teach you pack, and you start learning, family, and you start learning, instead of being just I am something like a rock, you're just a rock and there's other rocks. Then now you're communicating with other things. So you start learning your own worth, individuality, personality. Once you learn that and you become self-aware, I am something. I think, therefore I am. And at the end of that life, whatever you were, then you would graduate into the third dimension, which is what this place is. And on this planet, you would become, say, a human. Okay. Then you're born, but you're veiled, and you don't know. You're veiled in the other lives too. You don't know that you're part of the creator and that you're having an organic experience. Okay. Yes, yes. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jack. Jack says, tap those hearts, please. Thank you, Jack, for doing that. Right. What's your perspective on mental illness? Oh, Nadine, let me get to that. Let me finish real quick with the 3D, and then we'll go to that. Okay. And specifically, do you have a question about any type of mental illness or just mental illness in general? Because I can cover that as well. Okay. So you become a third dimensional being. You're a person here living, and then you got to go through. And this is a perfect segue to your question. And you go through all of these organic experiences, and you're veiled. You don't know that you're part of the creation or part of the creator. You don't know you have an immortal soul. So because of that, you think this is the only place. You think this is it, and the only life that I have is this one that I have. And the boogeyman's chasing you around, death, evil, right, is chasing you. I'm going to die someday. At some point you realize that you're going to die, and then your mortality hits you. Oh, what is going to happen when I die? I don't know. And then you start to move up from there. Let's pause, because the question was posed in the audience. What is your perspective on mental illness? Right. And but please hit those hearts for me, because that's the only way that it opens up tools in this game that is TikTok, that you just have to hit likes for me and follow me, please, and make sure you do that stuff. So bipolar and schizophrenia. Those are the good ones. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to that. So mental illness. Both bipolar and schizophrenia are kind of similar, but clinically and technically way off of the spectrum from one another. But they're not what they're misunderstood by people to be, but they are a problem. They are a problem that people have to deal with, and a lot of what happens when you're in a place, and this is something that is indicative to the third dimension, and specifically a place like this school that is really hard. This is one of the hardest school in the Milky Way galaxy. This one, Earth, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not. It's why I'm here. Not just me. There's a lot of us, millions, billions of us came here to help right now, because this is one of the real hard ones. But I'm going to address it not in a physical third dimensional way. I'm gonna address both of those, what they would call disorders. They're not disorders. They're I would really term them a misorder, like a misfire, squelch, if you understand what that word means. Let me take the schizophrenia. Let me take that one first, and then I'll move into the bipolar, because that one's a little more complicated, even though it sounds the other way around if you know clinically what they are. Schizophrenia, let's say that's a possibility of different personality disorders, whether it's multiple or singular, or hearing voices that you may not even associate with a personality, just voices talking. There are different levels of the perception of what's happening to the individual. Okay. What those actually are, because it's created by a place like this one. In third dimension, because you're stuck in this place and you live many lifetimes, whether you believe any of this or not, doesn't matter. You can, if you're clinically in third dimension and you're a psychiatrist, especially if you're a psychiatrist, you're going to hate me in a second. But if you're a psychologist, you still might hate me unless you're spiritual. I was going to be a psychologist at one point, truly. I hate psychiatrists because they just are drug dealers. Psychologists actually do the work, and that's so much harder, and those people are so badass for doing that work to help people to get into their own heads and figure that shit out and go through that. Same thing with bipolar. The the misorder that is happening is when people get stuck, you're supposed to only be here between 7 and 10 lifetimes. Okay. In that time period, you're supposed to learn. Hold on a second, I have to clear my throat. I've been talking now for 2 hours and 40 minutes. So bear with me. In the normal range of life for a third dimensional soul, you're supposed to live between 7 and 10 lifetimes. And all the experiences that you set down for yourself to learn, you would learn in those time periods, or you wouldn't. But you would then, when every time you die, you go to the place of reflecting, and you would sit down and say, I didn't learn this lesson, but I'm supposed to learn this lesson. You talk to your guides, your higher self, your I am. You become that. You realize that it's me, I am this person. And then you would say, I need to go back down and start a new life. This place has gotten stuck to where people are not leaving. Okay, they're not graduating because all of the information was taken from them on how to get out of here on purpose by evil people. Okay, so what's happened is, over time, you have been doing this so long, all of the people that are here are going a little cuckoo. Okay, what's happening is you're starting getting a bleed over. That's why I said squelch. You're starting to get a bleed over from all of your lifetimes, because you've been here so many times. You're getting confused as to who am I supposed to be, and you know that something's wrong, and your immortal soul's called out for help and said, we're stuck, and we've been stuck for a very long time. So people like myself come here and legally come in and are born in bodies and go through the same process you go through, hoping that we wake up so that we can help you. And some don't wake up, and they're stuck here just like everyone else. But when you come here, you sign a contract to be here for like 75,000 years, or it's help, fix, or bust. Right? I'm stuck here until it's either fixed, or I'm stuck until someone else comes and helps everybody gets fixed. Okay. Now that may sound foreign to you, and you may not like that. That's the truth of what is happening. Everyone here got stuck for a while. The souls cried out for help. We need help. We're stuck and we can't get out. So some of us come down here and we have rules that we have to apply. So we have to be veiled too. We have to sacrifice ourselves to come down here and be veiled and hope that we wake up and remember. Most don't wake up, but there's this drive to help, to better things that normally is in people that are in service to others. Those problems happen when people have been stuck for a very long time, and they start having bleed over, and they're starting to wake up. And what happens is you start hearing the other personalities that you actually are in different times. Okay. So the schizophrenia, the multiple personality disorder that they say is out there, the people in 3D will utterly reject what I'm telling you. And they'll tell you that I'm a crackpot and I'm crazy and don't listen to me because I'm going to hurt you. Okay. So, for entertainment purposes only, I have to say that, or TikTok will like ban me, or somebody will report me as misinformation. Okay. That thing happens when people get confused, and then they start hearing these other personalities, and the other personalities, the ego, starts grabbing a hold of, and the ego will take on that personification of that personality. So you actually fracture in a way individuals in a way that is your other past lives, but you don't realize it because you're still veiled. So the personality that's John or Sarah or whatever that is there is an actual person that you were and are in the past. Okay? You were and are that person at some other time, but you don't know it because you're veiled. They don't know it because they're veiled. And the personality is squelching over to now. And so it's talking to you. And sometimes they think they're in a different time period and they're like, you're in my mind. And so you all are crazy at once because you're stuck and you're getting loony because you're stuck. You're getting tired. Your soul is tired. And so you're starting to bleed over. Once you start to realize that, you can integrate those personalities again. The way that people need to work on that, and I work with people that do this. I swear to you, you can ask people that know me. I work. My wife does it too. We have a group of people. We work with people. Once you start to realize the I am, you start to move out of the consciousness of I am this person, and there's all these other voices, and you start realizing those are all me. Those are me. They're all just different aspects of me. Those personalities I was, and I may be some, there might be one that's in the future, or two that are in the future, or even half. Those are me. And if there's an evil one, that's because you were evil. Okay. You have to accept that and go, I was. Not now. This one's me now. So then when you start to realize that you're not this pain body and you're not those personalities, that you are the one that's above those personalities, the immortal soul, once you start to move into the I am, but because when you hear I think, therefore I am, you move into the I am, therefore I think. I am the immortal soul. I am the higher self. When you do that, you realize that all of these are aspects of you and they're just part of your Akashic record. Okay, the halls of Amente. Okay, so then once you do that, it makes it easier to silence those voices because you're like, you're me from before. I know you don't think that, but shush. And it's just like quieting the ego, even if you don't have those other personalities. You have the ego and you have the conscience talking to you. So all the time, the narration in your head is good and evil, and you and trying to figure it out. So there's three personalities that make up the id. What's his name called the id. Um, and I don't remember what Jung called it, but that was Freud called it the id. The id is the you that is the experiencer. Okay. And it looks like my wife's back on, or somebody is, because there's moderation. What's your thoughts on the moon being a soul stealing machine? No, it's not a soul stealing machine. It is not a soul stealing machine. The moon here. Let me get even crazier for you, and then I'll get back on to the bipolar. Right. So the moon. That is my wife. She is here. Thank you, baby. I didn't see the other ones. Is that the same one that you pinned? I apologize because I was still dealing with, I think Nadine, was it Nadine's question? I was dealing with someone else's question about bipolar and schizophrenia. So I apologize, Brooke, if I missed one of the comments. Please put it back up. Right. So the moon isn't a soul stealing machine. That's one of the theories that they're using to trap you here. There's when somebody wants to tell a lie, you tell a little bit of truth with many lies. Adolf Hitler actually said that. That wasn't the first person to coin that phrase, but Adolf Hitler used that to convince everybody to follow him, to take control of Germany and try to take over the world. You tell a little truth with many lies. You have to have some truth in there, right? So that people go, well, it sounds like it could be true. That's part of the theory where they're telling you that you're trapped here by aliens, the Anunnaki, and they have machines out there, and the machines out there suck your soul. Like if you go into the light, that's really a machine that is going to grab your soul, and they're going to either, and here's where they go with a little bit of truth with all the lies. Someone's going to tell you you're on a secret mission and you need to go back down. That's a lie. Don't listen to them. Someone's going to tell you that you can't go to heaven because it's not your time yet. And that's a lie. Don't go there. And they're going to zap your immortal soul and erase your memory and put you into a prison back into the human body. And you're stuck here. Okay. And that's what they're telling you to do. They're telling you to run for your life. Don't go into the light. Run away and get away from the moon and get away from those devices that are up there because they're going to suck you in, zap your soul, and put you back in this prison because it's run by a third dimensional group of aliens who have created you to mine gold for them. And there's a little bit of truth there. But there's no machines up there that are grabbing your immortal soul. There is the angel of death, as it were. There is angels who collect your soul and help you. That's when people have those near-death experiences, and all of a sudden they're going, "I'm going to the center of the universe" or something. That's just something that the brain does. It's not true. Third dimensional people will tell you that, right? So there's nothing, and that's a drug trip for ayahuasca or psilocybin or one of those things. It's just a lie. It's not true. It's just something that happens when the brain's breaking down. It's a delusion, right? That's that keep you in the flesh, living in the flesh. There is nothing outside of this. We're in charge. We're the best ones. There's nothing else there. Run away. Don't do that. Because otherwise they'll make you come back here. So run away. Well, if you run away, then you can never come back to tell people that it's not true what they say. And if you run away, you can't run away because you're collected. And then you realize that you are on a mission because you are a part of God. And God, the creator of the universe, is fractured into a piece of you, and you're actually trying to have experiences. You're trying to have organic experiences of what life is, because we're really bored. Okay? God's bored. We're bored. So God created shit because God was bored. God wanted to know what it was like to be alive, so God created alive and then said, shit, now it's alive, but I'm not experiencing it. We need to put somebody in there to experience it so they can come back and report back. And so it's being recorded by them, by me. I'm recording it, you're recording it, and it's recording it. Okay? And all of that's being done because God, the creator of the universe, is becoming sentient or becoming aware of itself being alive and being dead and being all these things and having all these experiences. So you, me, and everybody else is doing that as well. And the creator of the universe is living through us. Okay, that's the truth of what's going on here, whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not. That's the truth. So getting back to the other question that was asked about the bipolar. The bipolar is the same echo where people are going back and forth. I'm sure you kind of figured that out after I was telling you about that because they've been stuck so long. They're having issues with emotions because they don't know what's going on, man. One minute I'm all cool, I'm okay, and the next minute I'm just like, oh, what do I do, right? This sucks, and I just want to go home, and this ain't it. And then the next minute you get kind of more, a little bit more veiled, and you're like, oh, I'm so glad to be here, man. This is fun, dude. It's the same squelch that's happening in a different way. And again, that person needs to be shown that what is happening to you is normal and it's okay because it does happen sometimes. Most of these people with multiple personalities 5,000 years ago would be oracles, and they would be telling stuff from the future because one of their personalities is from the future and it's telling them. Or they were actually tapped into the Akashic records, and somebody would say, should we go to battle with the Athenians? And then they would go, you're going to go to battle with the Athenians and you're going to die. Why? Because they're reading it in a history book and a different personality, man. True story. Okay. And then they were like, no, that girl that was reading that she was just sitting in a place, and there was this gas that was coming up, and it was making her cuckoo cuckoo. Okay, the gas was expanding her consciousness, just like a psilocybin does when people eat mushrooms. I'm not advocating in any way. This comments are about just entertainment purposes only. I have to say that, or TikTok will have a wingding about what I'm saying. Because I'm not advocating that anybody do any kind of weird drugs or medication, or don't do anything that a doctor tells them not to do. Okay, so everything that I'm about to tell you is for entertainment purposes only. Okay, so the drug, the smell that that woman was smelling through the crack, the gas was expanding her consciousness, and she was actually able to unlock other abilities that she was able to then have a hallucination because she's on, because it's a gas that goes up her nose. TikTok. I'm not in algorithms. I'm not in any way advocating that people do that, but then she would say things that were true because she was able to, in some way, know what was going on. Some people say that they were just the stuff that those people said. Other people would listen to, and then that they would have probably done it anyway, and they don't know. I don't know exactly, but yes. Okay, so Nadine, yeah, right. I was able to make time freeze and other things. I see people's eyes change. I know when they are human or not, right? Yeah. Okay. There was another question. What's up with Black Cube? Mecca being, is that what I think you guys need to, whatever that question is, could you be a little bit more specific on that? Black cube Mecca being, is that what you're saying, or are you guys talking about? Are you talking about the black cube that is the Mecca at Mecca, the one that's there that everybody circles around? Is that what you're talking about? that black, and then you're saying the being that, okay, if that's what you're talking about, please let me know. And I will, please type that and I will continue because I think that's what you're asking about that. Yes, that cube. Okay. So if you go on the strictest sense of things, wait, let me finish with Nadine first. Nadine, you're absolutely right. It's one of the reasons why I take my glasses off when I'm talking. I have to have them on to read the chat. Actually, I could read the chat like this, but it's a little blurry because of one of my eyes, right? Because I am channeling when I'm talking to you. And I want people to be able to see my eyes because they can see a change in the color of my eyes and in my eyes. My voice is also different. My wife, she knows when I'm channeling, even if I don't realize it, because she hears the difference in my voice and the way I speak and my mannerisms when I'm phasing, when I'm half in me, Leonard, and half in Kelto or someone else. So she sees the difference. So I try to keep my glasses off so you don't see this glare. Do you see there's a glare there if I'm sitting in the wrong way and you can't see my eyes like right? And at this time of day, you can see my eyes with my glasses on. A little while ago when the sun was up higher, the sun was down lower like this and the glare was right on my glasses and you can't see them. So I try to do this so that you guys who can see this will see the difference. Okay. And know when the difference of who's in here. Because anybody who's ever seen anyone channel, you know the difference by the way they move, the way they talk, that's not the same person, the soul, not the same soul that is speaking at that moment. And I want you guys to have that opportunity. That's why I do that and take my glasses off and put them on all the time. Okay, so you're correct in that. Making time freeze is another ability. I'd love to talk to you more about that. Let me finish with the mecha. So from the strictest third dimensional, let's start at third dimension on the mecha thing, and then we'll move up from there. Okay. So from the strictest third dimensional aspect, that rock is just a meteor that came from outer space and slammed into the earth, and it has no properties whatsoever. I say that so that TikTok doesn't have a wingding and say that I'm saying something that is not true, because that is accurate. It's a meteor that came down to earth, crashed down to earth, and they put it in there. However, with that said, okay, there is an energy that is attached to that rock that is from God, the creator of the universe. As a matter of fact, that asteroid is part of the building blocks of the universe, and it's one of the different building blocks that is that energy. That's why it is so cold. I was going to say cobalt, but that's blue. So obsidian black, because it is something more than just a rock that came out of the sky. The people in history there in that part of the world realized that, identified that it is starborn. It is part of source. It is part of the original Big Bang, part of the original spark. Okay. So it has more of the original, what's the word I can say without having TikTok have a wingding, source energy attached to it than just this planet. Okay. So there is a energy there. I'm trying to not get in trouble with the algorithms here and the algorithms of the matrix at the same time. I'm trying to see what I can tell you without TikTok having a wingding and getting by the laws. Okay. You are onto it with the way you were. Wow, this is a deja vu. Okay. So you're onto it with the way, yeah, right? Brooke said we need to set up a new chat, baby, right? So Nathaniel, your thinking is onto the reality of what it is. There's my wife, she's pulling in, sneaking out, looking out the window at her. She's pulling up and backing into our garage. So, um, okay, so Nathaniel, what you are thinking that it is very accurate. Okay. What you are thinking that it is very accurate. I don't know how much I can say on public about that. Okay, so it is, and it is, and the people in Mecca since that thousands of years ago. That is why that people are circling that in a counterclockwise motion, I believe, unless the timeline has changed. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I believe they are going in a counterclockwise motion, and now I'm getting clockwise motion. Do they do it at different directions at different times of the year? I'm not as versed in that, so someone who knows, if you're in here in the chat, please let me know if they do that. Do they do counterclockwise and clockwise motion around that? I'm seeing them going counterclockwise around that, doing the spiral counterclockwise around it, but I'm also getting that they do it the other way around at a different time of year. Solstices, maybe. They're onto the energy of the 3, 6, and 9. I do know this from talking to, and I can't think of his name right now, the guy who was in doing the encoding in that French cave, that cave over in France that's thousands and thousands of years old. I was on a live with him on a show with another host. There was two of us that were hosting him, and we were looking at star charts live on a, I don't know if it was an Earth Day, but it was a podcast. It was um, a webinar that I was a part of, an event that was like this huge webinar where we were doing like, we did like 10 days of like 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day. And we had this guy on, and we had a bunch of people on, and I was interviewing him because I was a physicist in college. And so I knew what he was talking about. And the other guy also had his own podcast, and he also, like me, was like this physicist who had this ideology. And there's my wife, she's home. Hi, baby. I love you. So, so we were live on air, and we actually discovered something live on air that had to do with that. One of the mathematical equations from like the Star of David and the pentagram and the pentacle and the yin and yang and these different symbols all had the same 369 mathematical equation. And when you overlaid that on the Earth, as the Earth itself, being the inside the circle, and did the mathematical equation from all of that, the as above, so below energy became apparent, 3, 6, and 9 energy. And when you did that and did the mathematical equation, it pointed to the stars, and it pointed to the serpent stars that were the serpent god, and I forgot what it was called, but it's the snake in the sky. It pointed to that, and there I think it was the arrow of Orion was pointing through there, and that pointed back down to another place. We were doing the math as we were on air. This was like 5 years ago. We were doing the math on air, and it pointed directly back down to Mecca every single time. Okay, so there's the long of the short of it. Okay, so all of those, and I'm getting chills talking about it, all of those symbols that are the symbols that are calculating the circle, the Vesica Pisces, the Taurus field that is 3, 6, and 9. If you superimpose that over the Earth itself, and then you do the mathematical equations, the Vitruvian Man. If you do the mathematical equations of the stars, the Merkaba, the yin and the yang, they all do the exact same mathematical equation. And when you put the 0 point of the Earth's heart, of the center of the heart, in the center of that circle, and do the math, the end point is always Mecca. The end point, let me say that again, on the map of the world, mathematically is Mecca. So they knew something, and I'm getting chills. They knew something when they put that stone there. Okay, I don't know if that's too much or anything, but yeah. So okay, so here's another question. Nathaniel says, I want to ask another one. I wanted to ask is, do you think that the reptilians are using us as beings to farm loot? Yes, humans are. In 3D, you want to look at the 3D aspect, the humans on this planet, and I'm going to try and do this without getting in trouble with TikTok, so please nobody report me, because all of this information is for entertainment purposes only. The humans on this planet have the same knowledge
There's a movie out there that you can watch. It's called it's either Mercury, no, Jupiter Rising. It's the one with Mila Kunis and what's his name, the guy that was in what is his name now, Channing Tatum. You should watch that. That's about that. It's about the this place being like a cornfield, and they're growing humans so they can harvest that substance that I don't want to name online for the algorithms to hear. Um, but yes, and yes, other things too. I don't know how much I can say on this platform. If I were on Facebook, YouTube, I could get away with telling you more, but with this one, I'm not sure how far I can go. Jupiter Ascending. Thank you. Thank you, Nadine. Jupiter Ascending, not rising, ascending. Watch that movie. It's about that. And it's about the overlords. I call them the controllers in my book. So if you know the reality about reality, returning to the old ways by Leonard O'Neill, I call them the controllers, and some people call them the Anunnaki. Some people call them the Bilderbergers. Other names that you might notice that I don't want to say too much because the algorithms. Remember that this is all for entertainment purposes only, and I in no way am saying anything that has anything to do with a conspiracy theory. Um, Rothschilds. I don't know for certain whether they are, but they probably are. Most of you guys, you don't know. I mean, they claim that we're created after the Anunnaki, but they also claim that they're from those elongated skulls, which some people say are the snake people. Um, Other people say that they're the Atlanteans. Other people say that they are something else, but they claim that they're superior DNA, and those really exist, by the way. They really do exist. And you could watch, there's a documentary called Above Majestic that came out in 2017 or 2018. You should take a look at that as well. You'll get information about that. And slam those hearts for me, people. Come on, champions. Give me those hearts over there. I've been online for a long time. I don't even know how many hearts I have. Give me some hearts so we can get the numbers up so that I get to unlock some things that I can do with this TikTok that I can't do unless you guys send me some hearts and join my little fan club and follow me and like me and all that good stuff. So watch those two movies. They're more documentaries than they're not, but they're for entertainment purposes only as well because they're just movies, right? You'll get that kind of information. But so if you go by the strictest sense, we're all hybrids, right? The human condition does make up 7 different alien species that make up this Homo sapien sapien that we have. We do know that, truly. But the story that we were a petri dish and they all came down here and put them here because we're slaves, that part's the lie. The truth is you are trapped here, but you're only trapped here as long as you think you're trapped here because none of this is happening. It just thinks it's happening. So you have to realize that. Hopefully I answered that. So aren't the yeah. So they're I think that some of them are. You can see. Okay. You can see what I can see. All this information that I'm about to give you is just from a video game. It's entertainment purposes. Um, when you look at people, you can see what their soul is. I can. I do this with my wife all the time. She does the same thing. When you wake up enough to where you pierce the veiling, you pull back the veiling, I can look at a person's picture, their face when they're talking and moving, and I can tell you what race their soul came from before they were human. Okay. So some of them, Peter, welcome, brother. See, Peter's giving the hearts, the green hearts, because he knows, because he does the same thing. When you get some of the yes, aren't we in a collective consciousness? We are in a collective consciousness, creating through our thoughts. Absolutely. Mainly other beings' thoughts. How do I give hearts? Oh, if you hit like on there, you'll get a heart. But if you want to do the other ones like people are doing, if you look in the chat, you see Tanisha did, there's a link somewhere here on the thing where you can click on. I don't know where it is on your screen. You're seeing what I'm seeing. I think it's the ones that are up here. You can click on them. My wife knows. Brooke, if you're there, can you tell her what she needs to hit if you're on a cell phone? Then you can click on the other things and you can do that stuff. My wife is Brooke. O'Neill. She's in the chat, so she messages you and says, "This is how you do that." That's where you do those things. See how like the Sinos did the hat, but otherwise you can just hit that right. The Merlin and Maeve is my wife. That's our company name. So Brooke is on Merlin and Maeve. So that's my wife. And yeah, if you do that, please follow Merlin and Maeve. That's our company logo. That's my wife and I's company, Merlin and Maeve, and we're on TikTok and we're going to start going live on there. We teach you guys all of this. We have courses that we have right for you. So if you guys are on here watching, please hop over to Merlin and Maeve and follow that. Because once we get enough likes and stuff on there and hearts over there, we're going to go live on there and teach you guys this stuff. We actually teach classes. We do psychic readings, and we're spiritual healers, and we have courses to teach you how to unlock your abilities. No joke. I've been doing this for years. So has my wife. We've been doing this for a long time. We came here to do this. So please do that over there. But yeah, so you tap on the hearts, and there's a thing you can click on so that you can open those up if you want to do that stuff. But follow me, and that I think opens it up. There's one that you click on in here, and I'm not sure which one it is. Because I don't see what you guys see. Brooke might be able to help you with that. Mike, oh, look at that. Who did that? Somebody did that. Thank you. I don't know who that was. That was Nathaniel. Thank you, brother. Nathaniel did that, and he also did a rose. Thank you, brother. Yeah, the more you guys do that, the more it unlocks stuff. Nadine also hit some roses. Thank you, Nadine, for the rose over there. So yeah, and click those hearts to get that stuff up, guys, because that helps us. And then, like I said, go over, like my wife said, please go over to Merlin and Maeve, click on that and hit like on some of our stuff there, and that way and follow us, because when we get a certain, you have to have like 100 followers and like 1,000 likes or something so we can go live, and then we'll be going live there. But we're also posting there, so if you guys want to learn this stuff, go there. And unless you're on like Facebook or Instagram or Messenger or YouTube, because we're on all those platforms, we offer courses. Thank you, Nadine. I love you for that. Thank you very much for joining for joining. We actually teach this stuff to you and help you expand your consciousness so that you can unlock these skills that you have, right? But to get back to what Nathaniel was saying, yes, this is a collective consciousness. We are starting as a race of beings in third dimension. You start to ascend to 4D thinking. The 4D thinking is I am an immortal soul, not just I have. I have an immortal soul is the beginning stages of your awakening. I am the immortal soul. I am, therefore I think. I am the immortal soul. When you do that, the next step is you start to realize the collective, like Nathaniel was saying. We are a collective here, a collective consciousness, a hive mind complex that is co-creating this place that we're seeing every nanosecond. We are recreating this by our minds. Our energy is holding this place into beingness, and we are also collecting. Our collective consciousness is co-creating this reality, this illusion that we call reality, is the way it is. The sky is blue because we all believe the sky is blue. Leaves on a tree are green because we have decided that they are green. Okay, that wall behind me is that color because we have all decided that that is a color and that is what is going to be there, and we're holding it there with our consciousness. You guys are seeing it, so therefore you're creating this room that I'm in while I'm in it, and I'm creating this room while I'm in it, and I'm creating this computer while I'm in it, and I'm creating this internet, and we're creating all of this while we're all being here. We're all co-creating our houses and our things. This is who we are and what we do. Okay, so yeah, if you click on the thing next to my name, my wife was saying, click on the button next to Leo's name on the top left, and then become a fan. That's how you do that. I don't know where that is on your screen, but do what my wife said, because you guys are seeing it differently on your phone than I'm seeing in the studio. And I have to bring up that actual thing to see what you're seeing so I can tell you what to hit. So thank you, baby, for doing that. Okay. So we are the collective consciousness of this place because we are one. We start to realize when you're in 2D and say you're an animal, right, or a bird, you start to realize pack mentality, right? So say you're a dog or a bird or a fish. Fish swim in schools, they stay together. Birds are in a flock, they stay together. Dogs are in a pack, they stay together. Humans are in a pack, we're pack animals. We get together with other humans, social animals. Where are we now? Everybody that's hearing my voice is either on TikTok, because that's where I'm live, or you found my post somewhere else and came into the TikTok live from another platform, or you're listening to the MP3 broadcast that I'm going to put out to the rest of the world after I'm done with this live. But what you've done is you're in that room now, and I'm in your head, and you're listening to me, and we're all co-creating here. So wherever you are in the world, we're all co-creating all of this stuff, right? You have to put your daughter to sleep. Okay. Nadine, thank you for following me. Thank you for liking. Have a great night. I love you for being here. I love you for hitting those buttons and following. I do go live at different times. You can contact myself or Brooke and ask us questions. Just message us, and we will get back to you as soon as we see those. We do sit down and we do type back to people. Okay, so if you have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, hit those buttons so you know when I go live, so you can pop back in and say hi. All right. Have a great night. I love you. Have a great, wherever you are in the world, have a great day. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hitting the likes and hearts and all the stuff that you did for me. Have a great day, okay? And hope to see you another time in another live, right? Okay, so all of us, let me get back to that. All of us are a collective. And we start to realize that you learn pack, you learn individuality. I have self worth. But we as a group have to work together. You learn that in 2D, and it's second dimensional being. Then you graduate to third dimension, you bring those tools with you here, and you have a family unit. You got to protect your family, you got to protect yourself, you got to protect your family. And then you start looking at things like my community or my city or my state or my county or my government or my country or my world, my team in sports. We're pack animals, we're social animals. We want to belong to something, so we gravitate towards those things. Those things can be a distraction if evil people are aware of it. They give you all those things to distract you, to keep you from learning the true course of the ascension to the graduation of this place. And they keep you in all those packs, and they following Taylor Swift, or following some rock band, or I only go on YouTube, or I only go on TikTok, or I love soccer, or I don't like soccer, or I love American football, gridiron, or I love American baseball, or I love basketball, I like netball. They give you something to grab a hold of to keep your attention. Your phone, your cell phone, you're constantly flipping on your cell phone, right or left or up or down, and they keep your attention focused away from what you're supposed to be focusing on, and that's what is all this about, and how do I get out of here? Okay, so you have to learn to balance that and look at that. At some point you'll do it, whether you're spiritual or religious, doesn't matter truly, because this place will beat you enough and beat you down. You'll have enough strife that you will hit that bottom point, which Carl Jung called the dark night of the soul. You'll go through the descension into your hell and your resurrection. You will die and become resurrected in the spirit body. You will say, I am not a victim, I am a survivor, and my life is, like we were talking earlier, if you were here a couple hours ago, I am, I'm on the wrong path in life, and I got to get on the right path in life. And you're going to figure that stuff out, and you're going to move away from what you're doing now, right? Craft Girl, thank you. Welcome. Like I said before, hit those buttons, please, and hit those likes and send me some hearts, and definitely please go over to Merlin and Maeve. You can see that Merlin and Maeve is in the chat. That's my wife on our company logo. Go over there and follow us on Merlin and Maeve so that we can open up that channel to be able to go live on, and we'll be going live there. And we have stuff that we will work with you. We have different courses, workshops that we're offering to people, and even doing medium work, and her doing medium work and doing card reads or whatever, and helping you to balance your chakras, and many other things that we offer for everybody over there on that. And if you don't want that and you just want to listen to me ramble on, come in here and listen to me talk, and I'll give you everything that you want to know about history and spirituality, especially spirituality and what's really going on here. So you have to realize, thank you for tagging somebody, right? The enlightened one, welcome, right? Very true what you're saying, that being said, we all have choices, brother. Yes, we do. And that's the whole thing. We all have choices to make in life, whether we believe in one thing or another, or we don't, whether we want to just follow are fun and have fun, like the guy that was in here before, the AI comedy club, and he was saying I'm not really making a choice between any of that. I'm just feeding whatever and having a good time. You can do whatever you want. You can follow a religion or you can not. You can follow spirituality or you can not. You can be living just in the flesh and don't care about any of that. It doesn't matter. You're just supposed to be having experiences, whatever feels right for you. You have a choice to make, whatever your choice is, right? There is just choices and unjust choices. So there's just choices and unjust choices. Correct. That's it. If you're in service to self or in service to others, the choices that you make, right? So yeah, Jack, have a good night, right? You got to go too, right? Have a good night. Um, wasn't all religion purely created for the purpose of the divine? And was there more to that? Um, for the divine and conquering us? No, religions were corrupted. Um, they were mostly because evil people want to control people. So what they do is they take away, like let's use any of the religions, for example, doesn't matter. Say Taoism with Lao Tzu, Lao Tzu, the way, right? The Tao Te Chi is the book of the way, the Tao Te Chi, the way. So he was teaching the way to get to heaven, the way to get back. And then you have humans who want to control people. Some people do it out of goodness, and they're like, well, here's the way to do that, and let's make it a little more structured for people. Linear minded people are going to take any idea and they're going to put structure to it. So they're going to make it linear because that's how they think. And so then they're going to say, this is what we all need to do because they're linear minded. So linear minded people are going to do that naturally. It doesn't matter if they're good or evil. But evil people are then going to want to seek power. So they're going to take control of whatever it is. Okay. So if you have somebody who's linear minded and for them to understand, they make a religion out of a concept so that it's structured, so you have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you learn what you're supposed to learn. That's always going to happen because some people are linear minded and they're going to have to do that for themselves and they're going to create structure. Then you have people that are self serving that are going to gain control of that structure and they're going to bend it to their will because they can't create. But then what they're going to do is they're going to use that tool that has been created to control people. So you're right. So religions weren't originally, some may have been and some weren't. So the idea of the religion is always an idea that linear people are going to try and put into place so that people can learn and they're going to give structure to it. Evil people will always take control of that structure and then use it and corrupt it for their own advantage. So all religion has become that, just like if you have a company and you have the and you put it on the stock market, if you're not smart enough to put it on the stock market or to not put it on the stock market, and you do, there's going to be certain corporations out there that will buy a certain amount of your stock, and none of them by themselves will own a controlling interest in your stock. But what you don't know is that like four of those companies combined are actually the same entity and they have separate names and they work together. And when they take the total amount of what they all own together, it's a controlling interest in your stock. And then they decide that they're going to be on your board of directors because you have no choice because they're going to vote for it because they're stockholders. And then they take control of your company and they either take it from you completely or you live with them being in control and you get rich. It's the same thing that happens with everything because that's the dynamic of how that works. So it kind of sucks. But religion in and of itself has always been something that is, yeah, would you say there? You said religion is separate from spirituality. Absolutely. In this book right here behind me, The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways, I have a quote in there that I coined the phrase because no one else ever said it on this earth. And I looked it up after I was like, why did no one else say this? And in there I say, and it's on the back of my shirt. Oh, I don't have that shirt on right now. In there I say, religion recruits you, spirituality waits for you to find it. Okay. And it's the true story. You're absolutely 100% true that religion is separate from spirituality. Spirituality is the true way to ascension. Religion can be, it's an orthodox, linear way of moving through the progression of some structured way that some prophet told was the way to get to heaven, and someone made a structure, and it became a religion. Okay, a religion. And you, if you like structure and you need structure, and you don't feel that you can do it on your own, a religion is a good way for you to find your way out of here. But you need to know the guidelines of, most of them are being controlled at the top, and they're not actually showing you the actual way, but the way is in the book that they're using to teach you. The actual way is in there. So if you have it within yourself to not just listen to what they tell you at the mass, but to also study that atonement, you'll find the proper way to ascend to heaven. But if you only trust them and you never read the book, eventually you'll figure out how to get out of here. But they're going to keep you here for a while if you. That's why you're stuck now. Okay. So I think I have to go too, right? Thanks for popping in, brother. Right? Thanks for popping in. I think I have to go too. I've been here for 3.5 hours, and my wife brought home food, so she's probably eating while we're sitting here. I'm on live, and I need to get off here because I've been on here for 3 hours, 3 hours 25 minutes now. So I think I'm going to take off too, but I will be back live. I don't know if I'll be back next Saturday or Friday if you're in the North American continent and Europe, to be on TikTok, but I will be back on TikTok. I may separate the two. I go live on YouTube and Facebook at 3 p.m. West Coast America time Friday night for Orion Rising, and I talk about this kind of stuff. But I bring in the religion up, and I show you the religion, and we go through the religion line by line, and then we talk about it, and I compare that stuff, right? So I know this one is a bit out of the box for TikTok, but where is that at? Why do we use as vessels for what is that? A chrome? Are you trying to say adrenochrome? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm not sure what you're trying to say there, Nathaniel, because you said a chrome, vessels for a chrome. I think you're saying adrenochrome without trying to say it. Is that what you're saying? TikTok. But why do they use us? You are saying that. Why do they use us? Because it's here. It's when your adrenaline pumps and you get that adrenaline rush, and then they create that fear. The chemical, the DMT that is in your brain that gives you the fight or flight mechanism. That's like the best sought after drug in the universe. So what they do is and with young children, again, this is a theory that's for entertainment purposes only, that was on a movie, and it has nothing to do with reality. It has to do with that movie that we were talking about, that Jupiter Ascending. In that movie, what they would do is they would scare children, because children are closer to source, so they're not as veiled, and because they're closer to source, they have more of the God energy in that adrenaline. And so they would torture them and scare them, and then their adrenaline has more of the DMT in it, and then they would siphon it out of their body. And when they do that, they're taking a lot of their life essence, and so they would harvest their. That's where you get the vampire idea of drinking your blood to get your soul energy. It was actually not your blood that they were drinking; it was your life force, and it was manifest in fangs in the book and sucking your blood, because they were taking your adrenaline, that substance that would give them that energy to sustain life forever. So that's where you get the stories of the vampire. It's the same story trying to be told to you to warn you about people who are sucking your energy. Do you see? So the human condition, by the way, this human condition is a good one for that, because one, we're veiled, but two, because we're so diverse, we're also moving at a rate of vibration that is closer to the speed of light, and we breed very fast. So we can breed every 9 months. So we're like rabbits in the universe. We breed a lot. So because we can do that, you can take a bunch of us and hold on to us, and then have them breed a lot, and then use them and sustain your crop. So it's a very sustainable crop. And if you watch that movie, you'll see that in there, that's what they're talking about. And then you let them expand and build on their own, like you would a field of corn, and you just kind of watch them. And then when you're ready, you go and harvest them, and you leave some behind to repopulate. And so the theory is that all the times that our planet has gone down to 300,000 or 400,000 people from whatever calamity, it was a harvest. This is what they're trying to tell people with that movie. Again, know that I'm not saying that this is happening in real life. This is from that movie that we're discussing here for the purposes of TikTok's algorithms. That they would go and harvest the planet and then leave some alive to restart the whole society again, and come back a couple generations later and reharvest them again. Okay. All right, brother. Have a good night. Yeah, we'll talk again. So, yeah, right. I know this is one of the, yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So, have a good night. Liz, yeah, thanks for the talk, and hope you enjoy your dinner and the rest of your day. Right. I will. Thank you very much. And, but you are on. That's why they're doing it. They're doing it because it's currency, bro, in the universe, in 3D. It's currency. It's gold is not why we were enslaved, right? That's why I always say that Anunnaki thing is bullshit, because it's not gold. It's the life essence. It's really Ormes. It's the life essence. It's the loosh or whatever that other word is that they use in that movie. But yeah, see that movie if you haven't seen it, guys. It's a really good movie. And it kind of is a little bit eye opening. Or watch the other one, the Above Majestic. That one talks about it as well. They're both really good movies to take a look at. All right, guys, I love you. I'm gonna end here. 3 hours and 30 minutes. I'm gonna go and eat some dinner and relax for the rest of the night. It was great to see you guys. Hit those like buttons, right, and go onto my page and go on to Merlin and Maeve. That's on my company page, my wife and I's company. So she's in there. Click on that. Go over to that TikTok. Subscribe to that and hit some likes over there on some of the stuff, and that way we can go live there too. And then we'll be bringing you guys more content. We'll be bringing you guys a whole bunch of stuff that can help you guys. I can talk about it here, but eventually I'm going to send you to Merlin and Maeve anyways, because that's where all of our products are. And we do a lot of stuff. We're going to be live on the December 7th. December 7th, if you are in New South Wales, December 7th, we'll be at the Mystic Moon Market in Gosford at the, what is it called here, is the Central Coast Leagues Club. That's at 1 Dane Drive, Gosford, New South Wales. We will be there, and it will be midday to 7 p.m. So if you're in New South Wales, Australia, and you're anywhere near to Gosford, or you want to come out to the fair, there's a Mystic Moon Fair where everything that you can think of is being sold there, and I will be live on stage, and I will be answering all of your questions, so you guys can come there and get free answers to all your questions. And then we'll be doing Reiki. My wife will be doing Reiki, and we'll probably have some trinkets that we're going to be selling, and other people are selling stuff like Ormus and necklaces and bracelets and you name it. There's psychics that are going to be there. Some are going to be up on stage talking as well at different times. I'm going to be channeling, doing psychic stuff. Other people are going to be channeling, doing psychic stuff. So if you're in Australia and you're in New South Wales, December 7th, come and check it out, right? So, I'm sorry, Jay Lee June, I'm heading out for the night. You just joined the live and was trying to hop in to talk, but I'm leaving. I've been on the air for 3 hours, 32 minutes. So I'm going to head out, but just hit those likes for me. Have a great day. Follow me. Go over to Merlin and Maeve. That's my company, my wife and I's company. She's on there right now with hitting the hearts and stuff. Click on that. Go over to that one. Like that. Follow that. Look at some of our stuff that's up there and hit like on some of those so we get some likes so that we can go bring to you guys live on that platform as well, so we can talk more about the services that we have for you guys. And then follow us so that you can see, because we post there. We're on every platform. So if you're not just on TikTok, Facebook, we're on there. YouTube, we're on there. We have a channel on Facebook, channel on YouTube, channel on TikTok, channel on Instagram. We're all over the place. We're going to have Snapchat up soon. We're not even on X. Oh, no, we're not on X yet, but I am, and so is my wife. So you can find our information up there, and all the products that we are helping to expand your consciousness with. Right, we're going to be doing Reiki attunements. We're going to be doing Reiki healing. We're already doing that. We have classes that you can join, other things. All right, guys, I love you. Buy my book, The Reality About Reality, Returning to the Old Ways by Leonard O'Neill. Buy that, and it'll explain to you what's going on here on this planet and around this area, and the controllers and what they're doing, what we've been talking about for the last 3 hours. It's in that book, and it's in my podcast. Listen to my podcast. It's called Orion Rising. Orion, like the constellation rising. The logo is the pyramids at Giza and the night sky, and the night sky has the constellation of Orion in it. It says Orion Rising, Leonard O'Neill. It's a podcast. Everywhere you listen to podcasts, MP3 podcast, it's there. YouTube channel, you can go there and find it. You can find the podcast, watch me talk, or listen to me talk, whatever you want to do. I love you guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good morrow, depending on where in the world you are tuning into the show. I'll see you guys next time. All right, have a great night. And then I got to figure out how to get to close. Have a great night.